Hi guys, good evening. Howdy do. How's everyone? I don't think anybody's here yet. Yep, no countdown for the evening one. Cause where's that congressional picnic? Okay, well I'm not doing that. Anywho, how's everyone doing? Good evening. See, Trump officially endorsed Ken Paxton. Good stuff. How we looking here? Hello guys. Oh, it looks awful in the summertime, huh? Yeah, I still got a bunch of sunlight bleeding through my blinds, even when blinds are closed. Hello guys. Hello here. Hello there. Are we live? Let's see. Man, it is a scramble, man. It is a scramble when what? That's not what I'm looking for. Hold on. Am I even live? Yes, I am. Hello. Howdy. Hey, Carrie. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Yeah, we're gonna watch the primaries. We're gonna hang out and watch the results. We used to in previous years in 2022. We covered every primary, almost every primary, all except like one, which I think it was like it was pretty much a shoe-in that MTG was gonna win the primary, so we didn't even bother covering it. And back then I was actually cheering for her because she didn't expose herself as a McCarthyite yet. So let me set some things up real quick. So up, bell, like, share, comment, subscribe, bell. I'm interested in Walker County, Alabama sheriff race. We are trying to primary Nick Smith. Cool. Well, I will definitely look into that for you tonight, dear. Hello, Casey Super Trucker. He's in Oregon, and only 20% of people here voted. Don't worry, the other 80%, I'm sure Antifa will be voting on their behalf. They usually do. Oh, let's see. Let's drop that there, drop that here, drop that there. Let's see. So Kornachki's not on yet for some reason. That's odd. He was on Sunday. He was I'm sorry, Saturday. He was on Saturday for the Louisiana race. Let me look up some. Okay, CNN. Nope. CNN Election Center. Let's see. I was hoping you would show these tonight. Yeah, I'm glad you're here. Yeah, we in 2022 I covered every single primary because it was so critical then to flip the house so that at least we can stop the damage Biden was doing. Oh, hold on. Governor, representative, hold on. You got that? Where's the sheriff's race? They said Alabama, was it? They only got House districts. Governor, no. Here it is. Secretary of State, Attorney General. Yeah, they don't have the. I'd have to look elsewhere to find the local races. Anyways, how do I exit Alabama? No, we're not subscribing. We're not paying you money for propaganda. Let's see. Boy, these maps used to be a lot better. Yeah, it got worse. Like, even in 2024, it was worse, and then now it's even worse than 2024. Yeah, let's close that out. Thank you. Give me 1 second. Let me do some. Hello, Diamond G. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, I haven't covered primaries in a while. I did like this is my second one this year. In 2022, I covered every single one except one, which is kind of a shoe in, anyways. Let me see. Okay, so these are all uploaded. Let me check the times. 5:15 today, 8:15 tomorrow, and 11:07. I think we're ready to close this. Good. Let's get rid of that. Let me see if I could. Give me 1 second. I still need to do my spamming. Popcorn. Here's the link. No, let's do. Anywho, hello guys. He is very corrupt. Well, oh, you're saying CNN lost their USAID funding, so their website sucks now. Oh shoot. Okay, so there we go. That works. Can we get that going? There we go. Let's close that out. Let's pause that. Good. Hello, guys. Hello, VZQ. Hello to you. Hello, M. Becker. Says, I'm from Kentucky. Big day today. Let's vote Massey out. Thank you. You're on the right side of all this. I was a libertarian, by the way. And then 2024 came along, and then they started endorsing like kids chopping their dicks off, and then they got that weirdo as their lead. They could have had Bobby Kennedy. They could have had Bobby Kennedy run under their party. They're like, no, they're booing him like crazy. Remember that? Yeah. So I kind of dumped all the libertarianism at this point. Now I'm a neocon. Now I encourage kinetic warfare. Why? Because let me check something real quick. Because it's the only warfare that we can win. If we keep doing economic warfare, all that other stuff, 2026 GOP Super Tuesday primaries. If we keep trying to do, all the psychological warfare, oh, come on, I didn't want to do it there. Delete. I forgot we don't post things on Twitter anymore because they are trash. Okay, let me see real quick. Let's close that out. Publish there. That looks good. By the way, if you missed the show the other day, Thomas Massey was found to be set. What is that? Oh, damn it. It turned out Thomas Massey's donors, 79% of them is Democrat PACs. Yeah. Wait, what is that? I don't want that one. Where's the shit? There we go. There's the Thomas Massey one. 79% of his donors for Democrat PACs. He's even got Ilhan Omar donating to him. Very bad, very terrible, very ugly. Oh yeah, and Donald Trump does have a few tweets that he just posted just earlier about Massey. So we're gonna go over that real quick before we go on to primary coverage. Give me 1 second. I'm almost done spamming right here. Yeah, we got the turban on Thomas Massey. It's very fitting for him, considering he is endorsed by Democrats and the squad. Let's see. How are we doing this? How's this looking? Is Kronachki on? They're about to go on. Cool, good. 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and then we'll get some. It's NBC, but he does a good job covering, so we're just gonna go with it. Unless they do commentary, then forget it. I just want to hear numbers. Yeah. Let's check this out real quick. We got Donald Trump earlier today tweeted this out. He wrote, "Horrible Congressman Thomas Massey put out an endorsement, an old endorsement from many years ago, of him by me long before I found out that he was the worst congressman in the history of our country. I endorse Ed Gallerin, a true American patriot, which Massey knows full well. So the statement that he put out is fraudulent, just like he is fraudulent. Withdraw your fake statement, Massey, right now." Yeah, so Thomas Massey's recirculating, or at least his propagandists are, his crew. They were circulating an old endorsement of Trump endorsing Massey to trick people. Yeah, terrible, 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 terrible. Hello, M. Becker. Good to see you. Hello, Kevin Lawrence. Hello to you. He says, when can you tell me Massey is out? The polls closed already 25 minutes ago in some parts of Kentucky. Kentucky, for whatever reason, is part Central Time, part Eastern Time. And their polls close at 6 p.m. So some of their polls close, some of it is not. So anyways, Trump says that right there. What else did he say? He also said this. He wrote, can you imagine Congressman Thomas Massey putting out a many years ago endorsement of him by me when he knows that he was not endorsed, but that I proudly endorsed Ed Gallagher? The reason is that Massey has turned out to be the worst congressman in the Republican Party. This shows what a totally dishonest and desperate guy Massey is. And I hope the voters are not fooled by his deception. So, again, Massey, are we surprised by a guy who partnered up with Gloria Allred to attack Trump? Yeah. Mississippi. Oh, look, they've already called it for the incumbent in Mississippi. Cindy Hyde Smith. I don't know. Oh, you said Alabama, right? Carrie? Alabama. She said Alabama. So let's go check out Alabama. Yeah, we don't. Oh, counties. Do we have any sheriff races? Nope, no sheriff races. Well, these maps are not that great anymore, Shannon. What's gotten into you guys? Maybe I was too zoomed in. There we go. That looks a little bit better. That looks a little less overbearing. Let's go look at Alabama sheriff's race. Alabama sheriff's race results. Our polls don't close till 7, says Carrie. Got it. Yeah, you won't see any results until that happens. And the reason why is because the preliminary, results coming out early could affect outcome. People still standing in line, they're about to vote. So yes, Trump did endorse Ken Paxton. We did cover that earlier. You are very well read, buddy. You are very well read. Yeah, we have if you're new here, by the way, I do a daily news show at noon Eastern. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Polymarket. Trump endorses Ken Paxton and Cornyn's odds just plummet. Do you see that? I don't know if that's real or not. Let's check it out. That's great. Yeah, Trump at 4. This is real? It is real. Look at that. Look at that. Trump endorses Ken Paxton and Ken Paxton's numbers just skyrocket immediately afterwards to 94%. Wow. So Ken Paxton Ken Paxton passed Cornyn as far back as March 25th, 26th, somewhere around there. There it is. The 26th. Yes, March 26th, Ken Paxton had already passed Cornyn, and now Trump endorsed Paxton and sent him over the top. And their primaries aren't even today, is it? Hold on. Let's see. 2026 primary schedule. Let's look that up. There we go. All right, we got the live feed going out of NBC, the Kornacki cam. Let's see. Wow, this is huge. Where are we at? Find we're doing Texas. No, they have a runoff. When's their runoff? The 26th. Their runoff is next week. Wow, great timing, Mr. President. Look at that. Good stuff. Good stuff. Hey, Maggie, good to see you, dear. She says, May 26th is my birthday. Cool. Well, happy birthday to you, Maggie O. I think I got you on calendar. Let's see. I do not. Let me add ya. Oops. Nope. Damn it. No, I didn't want to do that. Let's do that. Let's get Alfreda's. Duplicate. Maggio 4156's birthday. We're updating that to the 26th. Save. There we are. There's Maggio. Anywho, wow. So that's all it took, to send him that high up, skyrocketing. And I knew those conversations are bullshit. I believe it was Wall Street Journal, by the way, that put that out. Cool, good stuff. Hello, Sharon Mercy. Good to see you here. Howdy do. How you doing? Ooh, they're live. Look at this. Here they are.
So buckle in.
Oh, boo! We don't like you too.
States set up the battle for Congress in fights that'll tell us just how successful the president's going to be in reshaping the Republican Party to look exactly how he wants it to.
That's right. And what makes tonight so exciting? It is our biggest primary night so far. Thank you so much for being with us from Washington. I'm Kristen Welker.
And I'm Hallie Jackson. This is an NBC News special report.
Kristen.
Primary night in America.
Terrible,
and the focus
Kristen.
tonight, these 6 states. Guess what? Some of the polls are already closing in Kentucky. That is moving fast, folks. Georgia shuts it down in about 28 minutes from now. Alabama and Pennsylvania, 8 o'clock Eastern. Idaho and Oregon, there are late night states. But let's start with the marquee matchup of the night.
We probably won't stick around for the Oregon, Idaho stuff.
The biggie. President Trump is not on the ballot, but he has been hammering his supporters to show up anyway. Why? He wants to send Congressman Thomas Massie to an early retirement. This guy, to the president, a thorn in his side, a fellow Republican. He is now in the fight of his
not a real
life.
Republican.
What happens in this race?
Kentucky is not a blue, is not a red state. They've got a Democrat governor. They gave us Massie, Rand Paul, and what's his name? Comer. Comer. You know, Comer was calling for the end of mass deportations. Yeah. That's the only red flag I've had out of him so far.
Look at this.
Look at
that district in Kentucky there, Tom Massie.
Oh.
The president is trying to defeat him in this primary. The numbers right now encouraging early for Ed Galrine. That is the Trump-backed opponent for Massie. Some good numbers for him right there in the Cincinnati suburbs. They're coming in by the minute, Kristen.
You know, you're tracking every single number that's coming in, Stephen. Democrats hope to show their enthusiasm across the board. Like in Hallie, in my home Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Democrats will pick candidates in 4 House seats, all held by Republicans. The path for Democrats to reclaim the House runs through districts like these. But Democrats also want to retake the Senate this November. Chances are they can't do it without holding on in Georgia. Republicans have 3 hopefuls lined up in a race to be the nominee in that key battleground state. The winner to take on Georgia's current senator, Democrat John Ossoff. That's a race that becomes even more important for Republicans after a bombshell endorsement today in the Texas Senate race to back Ken Paxton. Our team will give us the big picture all throughout tonight. Our chief White House correspondent, Garrett Haake, and chief Capitol Hill correspondent, Ryan Nobles, and our political pros, Matt Gorman and Ashley Etienne, as we break down what tonight means for November and beyond.
Kristen, it's a big night. We're here. We got a big team.
Huge night, and the results are already starting to come in.
Well, that's it. So that's where we're going to start with Steve Kornacki, because, Steve, you're already seeing stuff coming in at the big board there. Talk us through what it's telling you with these key numbers in this marquee race in Kentucky.
Yeah, you can see here, again, now it says about 4% of the vote has come in, but the most significant vote we've gotten is right here in Kenton County, which is in the Cincinnati suburbs. This is one of the biggest areas of the district. What you're looking at here is the early vote in this county. And Ed Galrine, the candidate endorsed by Trump here, running about 10 points ahead of Massie. I think about half the vote tonight, one thing to keep in mind, about half the vote is going to come out of these 3 counties. This was a part of the state when Donald Trump first ran in 2016. These 3 metro Cincinnati counties, he struggled a bit here. He ran behind Senator Ted Cruz here. So I think there was some thought coming into tonight, just given the size of these counties, given a bit of the political history here. This is also where Senator Rand Paul is from, a Massie ally. There was a thought here that if Massie was going to have a shot tonight, this is where he'd have to win and maybe put some numbers on the board here. So he is trailing early on in a very important county for him. I think something else that's notable when you look at that 54.7% that Galrine is running at right now, in the Republican Senate race that's going on right now, Andy Barr, the candidate endorsed by Trump, is basically getting the same number out of this county right now. So both Trump-backed candidates are running basically at the same level in Kenton County. So early on, certainly, it's early, but with that, those initial returns are what Galrine wants to see, and probably not initially what Massie wants to see.
Yeah, and Steve, so 16% in so far. break down what counties you're going to be looking for. Jefferson County, obviously one of the big ones.
Yeah, so I mean, we could take a look here. The district is, why was this the most expensive primary in House history? Because maybe it's the expansiveness of the markets that are covered. You got the city of Louisville right here, so you got the Louisville suburbs that are going to make up about a quarter, 30% or so of the vote. So tons of money was spent in Louisville. Also, as I just said, the Cincinnati suburbs, that's about half the district. But this district really goes along. This is the border here in the Ohio River, all the way out. This is like Metro Huntington, West Virginia here. So this is very geographically expansive. But again, 50% we think of the vote is going to come from these three Metro Cincinnati counties. And probably, I'm going to say about 30% of the vote is going to come right from the suburbs of Louisville. There's also a lot of, sort of small rural counties in here. But the other thing, too, to keep in mind, if you're Massey, we talk about the Cincinnati suburbs. These Louisville suburbs are interesting, too. This is Oldham County. This is actually the wealthiest county in the Commonwealth of Kentucky here. Demographically, when you've looked at where there's been a little bit of, if you want to say, skepticism of Trump among Republican voters, you've tended to find it in wealthier places with high concentrations of college degrees. You do have some of that there in Oldham County. So that may be another place. I say the Cincinnati suburbs. That may be another place here where if you're Massey, you're really hoping not just to win, but to...
Real quick, Diane says Georgia judge has blocked the bunker antics, but another judge has voided that TRO, so they're back in the bunker. Oh shit! We're talking about Georgia, by the way. Brad Raffensperger set it up so that they will be counting the ballots in the midterms with no what they call mutual observers from all parties. They're not going to be doing that. Okay, hang on, guys. I'm gonna switch to a different feed because they have a different feed with only that Kornacki guy, and I don't really like these chicks. They're annoying. So let's go to, nope, not that one. That's boring. That's terrible. Let's go to that one. No. Which is the one with just Kornacki? Fuck my ass. You guys have two feeds and they're both exactly the same? Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. They have two feeds and they're both exactly the same. One of them was supposed to be only the dude. Whatever. I guess we're stuck with them. So far, all three of them are women. Holy crap! All three of them. That's great. We gotta listen to them all night. Oh, jeez. Well, yeah, people are coming in. Yeah, polls closed. Yeah, okay. Yeah. This is crazy. How did you screw up this bad, NBC? Way to split up your audience. That's always good for your algorithm. Holy shit. The AP's got a camera over up on Massey's camp over there. Here, let me show you. Yeah, that's the Massey camp right there. AP's got a camera up there. Anyways.
To vote for. There is an independent streak in Kentucky. That's what makes the state so unique, right, Julie?
Independent. Independent is a new trick that it's a way for them to call themselves Republicans when they're not. There's nothing Republican about Kentucky.
And look, up until 2 hours before the polls closed, we saw posts from the president trying to rally people to come and show up and vote for Ed Gallrein. This is the most expensive House primary in history. So much money has been pumped into this race. When I talked to Congressman Massey,
the most expensive House primary in history. That is amazing. That's how many enemies he made, man.
To support him, or they went to the polls.
Holy shit.
But one thing that I was kind of blown away by in this area are the number of people.
Massey's count looks like Hillary's in 2016, says Maggie. Yeah.
In some cases, and said hindsight is 2020. They would oppose him if he was on the ballot again. Of course, he won't be, but that's because they don't like the pressure campaign that they saw from the president. These are people who are independent thinkers in the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and they don't want to be told what to do. So we'll see what happens here, but certainly for Massey's sake, he's hoping he pulls it out.
All right, Julie Sirkin, thank you so much. We will come back to you and check on the vibe in just a little bit.
What's so interesting here, looking at the clock, we are 20 minutes away from all the polls closing in the state of Kentucky and in the state of Georgia. It's not just the Kentucky 4 race that we've been watching. There's a Senate race in Kentucky, too. Not expected that that's going to, necessarily be a total shocker, but it is obviously Senator McConnell's former seat. You've got Andy Barr there. Steve, anything you're seeing of interest on that front?
Yeah, we could just show you where things stand there in that Republican Senate primary statewide. You could see Andy Barr again running. This thing took a huge turn, this race did, on May 2nd. That's when Trump came in and endorsed Andy Barr. A third candidate in this race actually left sort of the Trump folks, orchestrated his departure from the race. And really, I think since then, the sense has been that this race is Barr's to lose. And you can see Barr early on, leading by a very wide margin here. But again, what I think was so significant, we're looking at that congressional race, that Massey congressional race. I do think it's significant. You just look at this place here, Kenton County, that I was talking about in the House race. Again, take a look at what Kenton County looks like in the Senate race. The Senate race is not supposed to be that competitive tonight. It's supposed to be a pretty big win for Andy Barr. And Andy Barr is winning in Kenton County, not surprisingly, 57 to 30%. Okay, but keep that number in mind, 57, 30%, because then when I flip back over and we take a look at the House race here, the Republican primary, what does it look like? They said 57, 30. Yeah, Trump's candidate in the Senate race, which is not supposed to be close, is getting 57% right here. Trump's candidate in the House race that's supposed to be close is basically sitting at 55%. So he's not quite at the Barr number, but the expectation is Galloway doesn't need to be at the Barr number, given the expectations for Barr tonight. So that's the context for that number that you see for Galloway that's come in so far from Kenton County.
Super interesting, Steve. You talk about somebody like Andy Barr. I'll tell you, Kristen, in talking with a source close to his campaign, they felt like the president's endorsement, not all that long ago, really, just the beginning of the month, helped break any of the remaining undecideds in their favor. Then again, as you well know, Daniel Cameron's team feels like maybe there's a shot.
Well, and I had the opportunity to interview the former Attorney General Daniel Cameron today. You're absolutely right. What's notable, it's become a race about trying to distance themselves to some extent from Mitch McConnell and trying to align themselves with President Trump. That's an uphill battle when you haven't been endorsed by the president himself. The president campaigned for Andy Barr through a tele-rally last night. So that's the type of momentum that Republicans say makes the difference in this type of
All
race.
that being said, I don't think there's much of an expectation, if we just level with folks here, that the Kentucky Senate seat is going to, let's say, flip blue come November. But one that I think people are looking for as a potential flip is the one in Georgia.
In Georgia, absolutely. Let's head to Georgia right now. Priscilla Thompson is at a polling site in Atlanta. We are just about 30 minutes away from most of the polls closing. Priscilla, take us inside your conversations today. You've got a Senate race there. Republicans hoping to unseat Democratic Senator Jon Ossoff. You've got a wide open race for governor. What are folks there telling you?
Yeah, Kristen, lots going on here, and I will tell you, folks are making their way to the polls as they are getting off of work. You see that line starting to creep out the door. That is about the first time in the past hour we've started to see that line building as folks here are looking to make it in these last 20 minutes or so before polls here close. But a lot on the ballot, especially for those Republican voters. Of course, you have this gubernatorial race in which you have the Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and also the state's Attorney General Chris Carr. Both of them who sort of defied Trump's asks in 2020 to sort of not accept the results of the election here in Georgia. And I got to tell you, I've been speaking to a lot of Republican voters today who don't want to say who they're voting for. They don't want to tell me the name of the person. But the themes that I've heard is there was one woman who talked about wanting to sort of end the divisiveness and find a way to bring people together. And I asked her, well, what about Trump's endorsement in some of these races? We know that he's endorsed in that Senate race. Does it make a difference to voters? And she said that while she'll take it into account, that is not the be-all, end-all of her decision. And I spoke to another Republican voter here who told me the exact same thing. That
hey, real quick. What was her name? Carrie? What county was that you're looking for the sheriff? She said something about Alabama sheriff race for trying to prime. You see how annoying these women are? Four women on NBC. Holy shit. Just talking about feelings all day. Good Lord. Could you bring the guy back? So we can hear about numbers and shit. Holy crap. Look at this. Look at that. I'm going to listen to this all night? Terrible. Anyways, Walker County, she said. Walker County. I found a race for ya. There it is. Yeah, Decision Desk HQ. Very reliable. But we don't have results yet, so have to wait on that. But boy, this sucks, man. The NBC has 2 feeds on, and both of them is all these chicken heads talking. They used to have one with the chicken heads and one with just the guy. And I want to hear just from the guy. I want to see numbers and shit. Listen to what they're talking about.
Atlanta, so it'll be interesting to see what folks in the rest of the state are thinking as well.
Yeah,
Priscilla Thompson live for us there in Georgia.
What I think,
Priscilla,
what I
thank you very
feel.
much. 15 minutes now until the polls close in that state. We will be watching that very closely.
Yes, as we continue to watch what's happening in Georgia, Ryan Noble's joining us at the
Nice
table.
of you to join.
Oh, finally.
Great to see you. Let's start with Georgia.
I bet you
since
he's
just
soy as
heard
shit,
from
too.
Priscilla there, you heard about the enthusiasm on the ground. This is one of the fascinating races that we're watching as Republicans try to unseat Senator Jon Ossoff. And again, it bears repeating, President Trump did not endorse in the
Okay, so
Senate
Carrie
race.
wants
You have
Atkins
2
for sheriff
representatives running against
in,
former football
is
coach
in,
Derek Dooley, who
Walker
was endorsed
County.
by Governor Brian
Well, I will
Kemp.
keep you
I
updated
guess
on
the
that.
question is, will that
'Cause these
give
guys won't talk about
Derek
it for
Dooley
sure.
any momentum? And is this actually a gettable seat for Republicans? Jon Ossoff's pretty popular.
Yeah, I think we should take a step back and talk about Brian Kemp's role in all of this.
Yeah.
Before he endorsed Derek Dooley, he was heavily recruited by the Republican leadership to run himself. He's a very popular governor in that state, would have probably easily won this race against Jon Ossoff if he had decided to get in. But for whatever reason, he decided he did not want to be a United States Senator and decided to sit it out. That was a huge loss in the recruitment efforts for Senate Republicans.
For a guy who's got an 85% approval rating among Republicans
Exactly.
in that state, that's huge.
Exactly. And somebody who has successfully found a way to buck Donald Trump on occasion and still maintain a level of popularity among Republican voters. He was really the dream candidate for the Republican Party in a state like Georgia, which, even though it tilts red, has proven to be a swing state, especially in these statewide elections. So that was the first difficult entry that the Republicans had into this Senate race. The second thing was that they couldn't get Donald Trump to pick a candidate. And Brian Kemp desperately wanted him to endorse Derek Dooley, who was the guy that he went out as a childhood friend.
By the way, Gallarain is up 3 points, 4 points, like 3.9 points right there at Gallarain. Too bad this stuff's all so tiny. Do we need to zoom in or something? Is that what we're doing? We gotta do that, and then the map goes. Okay, well we don't need the map, I guess. We're only 6% counted though in Kentucky, and that's what we're looking at so far with Massey and Gallarain. So an early lead for Gallarain. Let's see what else is there. Anybody want me to look something up? No? I can go back here. I can look up a bunch of stuff. Yeah, we can find things. Yeah? Does that sound fun? Where are we going? Let's go to votes real quick. Look at the sheriff's race over here. Nothing in yet. Nothing in out of Walker County Sheriff for Kelly. Let's see. We had quite a few vote rolls. Anyways, I'll just park it here. Here we go.
All the time. You're talking to, a number of these people who are part of that group. Massey prides himself on being this kind of guy who's a libertarian streak. The Gallarain campaign thinks that is actually going to be a liability for him in this state.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be tested here tonight. Kentucky voters have a way of beating to their own drum. And you look at that with the folks that already represent them. Senator Rand Paul is not someone who
Wow,
votes with
11 points for Gallarain. We're only 6% counted, but still.
Massey is very much in that mold. And so I think that, while Massey has proven...
M. Becker says, I'm very interested in upcoming LA mayor's race. I don't... If they're going to cheat, we haven't fixed the elections. The illegals vote. So I'm not optimistic about LA. I've been screaming about it for a while. I'm like, they're spending their money campaigning. They should be spending their money on election fraud. If they fix the fraud, then that problem goes away. But yeah, I'm not even on camera, damn it. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, that's what I think. I don't have much confidence in California. Even the governor's race right now, there's going to be a runoff between Becerra and Steve Hilton. And if you add up all the red numbers versus all the blue numbers, the blue numbers win. So they're going to end up with Becerra. So they're wasting their money campaigning out there, to be honest. Here's Konashki. Here we go.
Georgia, what are you watching right now?
Yeah, I mean, just to take you through quickly a little bit more here in Kentucky 4, we don't have new vote in, but one other thing to flag, because there is some population and there is some vote here, and I didn't mention it before. This is Greenup County. This is in the eastern Kentucky coalfield. This is coal country in Kentucky here, and like 6% or so of the vote in the district is going to come out of this county tonight. Again, you're like Portsmouth, Ohio is up here, Huntington, West Virginia is over here, and I only flag this because, again, look at what Galrine is getting with the vote that's reported out so far, a 20-point margin over Massey. This, unlike the Cincinnati suburbs and unlike the Louisville suburbs I was talking about, this is sort of the Trump country portion of the district. More blue collar, more rural. We talk about that degree divide in politics and Republican politics. Much higher concentration of voters without college degrees here. So again, even in this part of the district here, you see Galrine, the Trump endorsed candidate, with a 20-point advantage. There are a fair number of counties going across the span of the district here that are somewhat like Greenup, and they're much more Trump-friendly demographically. So that's the other piece of it. Galrine getting that bump out of Kenton County early, but also out in Trump country doing a little bit better there. And there are other places like that too. The other thing to keep in mind, we showed you Kenton County. That is the early vote in Kenton County. Most of the vote in Kentucky is conducted same day. People going out and voting in person at the polls today. One thing we saw in Louisiana over the weekend, and we've seen in some of these other Republican primaries, the pro-Trump side, when we've seen these races where Trump is going after Republican lawmakers in primaries, the pro-Trump side tends to come out more on Election Day than any early voting period. Maybe that'll be different here, but that's something to keep in mind when you look at Kenton County. That's early vote. That's the early vote you're looking at. The rest of what you're going to see there is the Election Day vote. Elsewhere, that Election Day vote has been the kind that would be friendly to Galrine, more friendly to him than Massey. It'll have to be different than that, probably, for Massey tonight to have a shot here.
Okay, so polls close in the entire state of Kentucky in just about 9 minutes from now. Georgia closing after that, Steve. We'll come back to you at that moment. Thank you very much. Watching it all with the countdown now on to this other critical state. I mean, Kentucky's the marquee race.
Yes.
We're talking about it.
Right.
But there's plenty of other stuff that's super interesting.
There's a lot happening in Georgia, including Democrats vying to be governor, including Mike Thurmond. He's the former CEO of DeKalb County, Georgia. Thank you so much for joining us on election night. We appreciate it.
Honored to be with you.
So you've got a pretty crowded field, including the former mayor, Keisha Lance Bottoms.
Okay, we don't care about these guys. Yep. Anyways, hello guys. We're hanging out here, having a good time. Let me see. How's the Massey race doing? Gallery is up by 4.25 points there. Good stuff there. Sheriff's race, the one for Carrie. We don't have any results yet. They think the polls close in about 8 minutes. Am I showing the right screen? I am. Why is that still? That's behind by like 20 seconds. What the hell's going on? That's weird. That's weird. Anyways. Hello guys, how we doing? Former special agent with the U.S. government was allegedly set to become a UFO whistleblower before his unexplained death. A special agent, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about the UFO stuff. Holy shit. Hello, guys. Hello, Crash Bandit. Hello, Becker. Lance Bottoms sounds like a male stripper name. Yes. Lance Power Bottoms, right? Hello, guys. Hello, Sheila. Good to see you. Yeah, they're interviewing a Democrat right now. Who cares? Who cares what they have to say? Oh, yeah, how are you doing? How are you feeling? How do you feel about things? That's just crazy. Like, their ratings have been dog shit for how long, and they still keep piling on more women on their cast. Anyways. How are we doing? How are we doing there? Oh, 12% counted. 12% counted, up by 4.25 points. Gallerine, wow. This is where's the map? How's the map looking? Oh, is that the district right there? Oh, that's the district. Is that's the whole district right there? So all these little pockets right there, huh? Yeah. Yeah, we're only 11% in. Why is this one red? It's Gallerine's leading. And it's red. Let's do a refresh. We need time for this to change colors or what? What's going on here? Anyways, see, now it's all gray. What the hell? What a broken website. Anyways. Yeah, broken website. Anyways, how's everyone doing? Hello, Mr. Knoll. Good evening. They're still interviewing the black. We're not gonna listen to them. It's annoying. They're gonna be talking about all that liberal, all that black propaganda. Let's see. What else should we look for? Okay, so that's the Massey vote. The sheriff's vote's over there. Anything active? Anything active out of here? That sucks. It's all cut off now, huh? Ever since I reframed it. I should have put 2 sets of stickers. That sucks. Anyways, hello Betty, good to see ya. If Massey wins, he will be beholden to his donors, the Democrats. Very true. Hello Jeff Woodward. Thanks for being here. I'm glad you could be here live. It's not a news show right now. We're just doing we're checking out coverage of the somewhat of a Super Tuesday. Apparently this isn't the biggest one, but it is one of the bigger ones. Biggest one of the year so far. What's she saying?
The people that he is seeking on this so-called revenge tour to get into Congress. You've also got on the Democratic side, in some instances, questions around what people like to call the fight for the soul of the Democratic Party, as you well know, in Georgia, in that governor's
the fight for the soul of the Democrats. Yeah, there's nothing left of them. You guys are gonna have to merge with the libertarians and call yourself libertarians because nobody wants anything to do with the Democrat anymore. Holy shit! Have you guys heard any buzz on the Democrat side of things at all? No, anything? Anyone stepping up to be like, I'm the leader now? Yeah? Hakeem Jeffries, the guy who looks like Easter Island head, the Easter Island statue guy. Let's see. Yep, the lead is spreading here. We've got Massey and Gallery, and that lead is splitting up. Let's go to Kentucky real quick. No, counties. Let's go to counties. Not counties. How do I find the, see here, representative, House, no, representative, which one would it be? Gallery. There we go. So, CNN's numbers are worse than Decision Desk HQ, huh? Yeah, I'm not surprised. You cut that USAID funding and things don't work anymore, right? Let's just go back here then. Look at that. Decision Desk HQ. Thank you very much, Mo P, for the 3 coffees. Thank you. You're such a doll. Thank you, dear. Is she here? Mo P's not even here, but she sent me she says Massey is all gone. Bye, you traitor. Thank you very much, Mo P. Thank you, dear. Anyways, yeah, so we got this map. I mean, the colors went away here, but they were here earlier, and it tells you who was, leading in what little counties or whatever. And these are all the counties within the Massey district. Ooh, here we go.
And I was talking to folks who are affiliated with the Republican governors, and they think Rick Jackson could actually get the most votes by the end of the night. So again, we talk about Trump's influence, and certainly after the bombshell endorsement of Ken Paxton today, no argument here from me, but you could be seeing in a very pivotal swing state somebody get the most votes in a primary that actually didn't have his endorsement. I'm watching that as well.
The Ken Paxton, you mentioned that. This is that news you referenced at the top of the show here. It is part and parcel of what I think you could think of as maybe a thesis of the night here. The president looking to flex his political muscle. He's coming in. He's putting a stamp on this race.
Absolutely.
I mean, what is it, 24, 48 hours after John Cornyn kind of gave up the idea of ever having an endorsement in this race in the first place?
The timing is just absolutely astonishing. Ashley Etienne and Matt Gorman, thank you so very much.
Paxton.
Ryan, let me bring you into this
conversation. Paxton got the endorsement 1 week ago. Hi, Mo. Good to see you, dear.
Like, I mean, John Cornyn just told actually one of our former interns just today asked the question.
Anybody's birthday? I don't think so.
If you look at the sort of landscape of the Senate map, that Ken Paxton is going to be.
Mackie Hill says Massey's hoping for a plumbing leak.
Come November.
I think there's a lot of people scratching their heads about what Donald Trump was thinking from a strategic political perspective here. We know his motivation for political retribution. We understand that he has an ultimate loyalty test, and if you don't pass that ultimate loyalty test, he has no problem casting you to the side.
Yeah, okay, that's enough from you, you faggot. Where's the Kornacki cam?
Over Ken Paxton.
I only want to see the nerd with the glasses. I don't want to see these dumb talking heads. That's fucked up, man. Oh, you know what happened? You know what I just realized? Today, they have Kornacki in the same room with them. Is that what it is? That's what it is. So he can't talk while they're talking. Because he's like literally right there.
Again for being with us. I'm Hallie Jackson.
And I'm Kristen Welker. In literally the last few seconds, polls have closed across Kentucky and Georgia. In Kentucky, NBC News can project that Andy Barr will be the Republican nominee for Senate in Kentucky. That's over Daniel Cameron.
Barr, of course, endorsed by President Trump, and we are still seeing vote coming in, but our decision desk feeling confident to project Andy Barr the winner. Let's take you over to Georgia now. Senator Jon Ossoff, obviously the Democratic nominee. This is making official what we knew would happen as Ossoff is running on the Democratic side of the ticket. Question is going to be, who could his opponent be? His seat is a race that Republicans hope to flip. That one, by the way, too early to call at this moment, as you see the candidates there.
Yeah, there's also the Georgia's governor's race wide open to succeed the state's popular governor, Brian Kemp. That race also too early to call. Same thing on the Democratic side. The Democratic governor's race too early to call. Of course, we just did talk to Mike Thurmond, and we're still watching that race out of Kentucky. Congressman Thomas Massie in the fight of his political life against a Trump-backed candidate who the president wants to see win big. Our team of reporters fanned out all across the nation to bring you the very latest from these high-stakes races.
But we would be remiss if we didn't start with our man at the big board, Steve Kornacki. Okay, Andy Barr projected in the state of Kentucky in that Senate race. What does that tell us about Kentucky 4, this other key district we've been watching?
Yeah, well, take a look here. We did get some more votes in Kentucky for Ed Galrine, the candidate endorsed by Trump against Congressman Tom Massie. Now a 12-point lead district-wide for Galrine. Of course, the vote only coming from 3 places, but a couple interesting things we can tell you about those places. Number one, if you were watching just a few minutes ago, we've been zooming in on Kenton County. This is one of the biggest pieces of the puzzle in this district. About a quarter of the vote is in there, and Galrine continues to lead. It's an 8-point advantage. Now, we said what initially was reported out here was the early vote, and then we said that Massie was going to have to do better as the Election Day vote came in. Most of the vote is cast in Kentucky by people who show up at the polls on Election Day. So what is the split looking like? The early vote was 55% for Galrine, and the first batch of Election Day vote that we got, Galrine is still winning it. He's winning it by a little bit less, 53%. Again, if you're Massie, you really want to be winning the Election Day vote. You need to do better than come close. So, again, the numbers initially here, that initial early vote batch, that initial Election Day batch in this key county, in this district, both of them right now are numbers you'd probably rather have if you're Galrine than if you're Massie. Also out here in Greenup County, where we now have a third of the vote in. And again, this is, Portsmouth, Ohio, Huntington, West Virginia, about 20, 30 minutes away here. You see Galrine leading out here with 61% of the vote. Something that's interesting, you mentioned Andy Barr. Andy Barr winning easily in that primary. Andy Barr's getting 57% of the vote right here. The Trump-backed candidate in the Senate primary, who's having an easy time of it, is not getting as much as Galrine is here. So, again, that's an encouraging number, too, if you're Galrine right now. Overall, that's what it looks like with 7% counted.
So I hate to make you handicap the timeline on this, Steve, but I wonder, do you have a sense of when we expect to see more vote coming in and when we might get a clearer picture than we already have, which, as you point out, is pretty interesting at this race?
Yeah, no, I mean, it could come any minute. I'm a little surprised more have not sort of lit up, what's I don't know the correct version.
All of the above works for me. I love it.
More, to be honest with you. So really, they should start to come. And generally what you'll get in these counties is an early vote batch, and then the Election Day comes out.
And by the way, nothing in Georgia, right? I mean, those polls, 3 minutes into polls closing, other than Ossoff, right?
Let's just make sure there's nothing on that map. There's nothing on that map yet. But this one, I can tell you, in Georgia, it can come real fast in some of these counties. We are going to have an issue, though, in Fulton County tonight, the biggest county in the state, where there's hours have been extended at some places. 11 p.m. is when we're getting our first results from Fulton County tonight.
Okay, that's an interesting point.
Good thing we're on the air all night.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. I want to bring in Houston Gaines now. He's a Republican running in Georgia's 10th congressional district and a member of the Georgia State House. Thanks so much for being here on election night. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.
So let's talk about the state of the race. You won the endorsement of President Trump in this race. Do you believe that's going to be the difference maker? We should say this seat is reliably Republican.
Yeah. It is, and I do think that the president's endorsement, it's been a huge boost to our campaign. We've been working overtime since August of last year, since we launched this race, and we've talked about my record in the State House and what we've done in the General Assembly, and certainly what I plan to do in Congress and work alongside the president. But his endorsement has been an incredible boost to our race, and we feel really good about where we are. We're looking forward to seeing results come in here any minute, and looking forward to winning this thing and having the opportunity to go to Congress and work alongside the president and the speaker and the rest of the Republican team.
We, too, sir, are eager for the results to come in, and we've got Steve Kornacki at the board watching it all. I wonder, though, and listen, I totally take the point that, local politics is a lot different sometimes than what folks on the national level are talking about. But, you're part of what you could call your early 30s, new wave, new generation of the Republicans coming in. New York Times poll out today shows most young Republicans want the party to move in its own direction here and not simply follow the president's lead. So I'll ask here, where do you think there may be a split with President Trump on some of these key issues that people care about, like the economy, like the war against Iran, et cetera?
Well, I think that what the president's done has worked, and I think the agenda, it's certainly like the war in Iran. We've got more time that certainly before the midterms, and I think that what the president has done and what's going to happen is going to end up being a successful. It's already been successful, but certainly what the president.
By the way, just some updates on the Massey race. Galloway is now up about almost 8 points, about 7.5. Oh, just updated. Hold on. He is now up about 10 points. We're 20% counted, and he's up 10 points. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy.
In my age bracket, learning as we do better job of telling our message, we're going to
Hi,
win
Becky. Good to see you,
this
dear.
country. I think in November and moving forward, we just got to make sure we're telling our story, telling what we've done, and continue to get things done when we're elected in Congress and certainly across the country.
Well, let me ask you, in terms of some of the more competitive races when it comes to Republicans holding on to the House, one of the big headwinds that Republicans are facing, the president's approval rating has been brought down by this war in Iran, which is unpopular. People deeply dissatisfied with his handling of the economy, the number one issue. You're talking about it right now. What do you say to voters who believe that the president broke his promise when it comes to bringing down prices?
Well, I think that, again, the Iran war, obviously, the outcome, there's we're still very early in the conflict, and what we've seen in Iran and what I think the president did was the right decision to make sure Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. But I think you're going to start to see gas prices come down. You're going to start to see affordability. That has been the number one issue, certainly on the campaign trail in the Republican primary, but in the general election as we head towards November. And I think you're going to see the president's agenda working, the Republican conference agenda working. And so that's why I think you're going to see by November, you're going to see prices stabilize. You're going to see gas prices come down. In Georgia, for example, we have suspended the gas tax, and I think the Congress has discussed doing the same thing federally, which I think would be a great move to make sure that we're keeping prices affordable for all people across this country.
If you end up in Congress, sir, who's your preference for who your Senate brethren would be? Is it Congressman Collins, Congressman Carter, Derek Dooley? I know obviously Collins' district. Is he the best choice, do you believe, for the people of Georgia?
Well, I know we got to get rid of John Ossoff, and certainly I think Congressman Collins has done an incredible job representing this district, and looking forward to watching the results in the Senate race and the Senate primary. Obviously, got a Senate primary, governor primary, lots of races open in the state of Georgia, but I'm excited to make sure that we.
Hello, guys. Hello, Keith Subio over there, over on Rumble. Hello to Casey Super Trucker. Good to see you. He's saying Oregon is all mail-in ballots. Damn, that sucks. They'll never fix that state. Hello, Lahanui. I think you're Hawaiian. Hello, Judith. Good to see you. Yep. Who actually opposes what Trump's doing? Yeah, I don't. I love it. I love it. Yeah, this is you came to the right channel, Judith. Yeah, these guys are NBC. I just got them on because they're the only thing on right now that's covering live results. I mean, I'm keeping an eye on, like, the stuff coming in right here. We've got the Galloway. Galloway's up by like 11 points, 10.5 right there. 24% counted. 24% counted. And then we're waiting on the election, the race for the a sheriff in Walker County. That's for Carrie. Carrie's in Walker County. She hates one of them candidates there. So we're going to try to get that guy out. But yeah, so this is really the only thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, see, I picked NBC because you see the guy on the right, Kornacki. He's the numbers guy. Normally, they have two streams, one with these chicken heads and then one with just him, But instead, both feeds on NBC's channel, it's these chicken heads talking, and it's so annoying.
Single biggest county in this district, Boone County, right outside Cincinnati. Almost a quarter of the vote is going to come out of Boone County tonight, and we got more than a third of the vote from that county. And you can see Galloway here leading that by about a 14.5 point margin over Massey. You're looking at early vote. You are now looking at some of the election day vote here too. So this is now a little bit of a mix of these two things we've been talking about. Not a huge difference between those two chunks of vote, and what that's done district-wide is it's moved Galloway into a 14-point advantage. But I think more significantly, we said at the start of the night, again, the supreme importance of these three metro Cincinnati counties here, especially to Massey. The idea here that they were sort of a different brand. They're very Republican, but a different brand of Republican, a more libertarian brand, a one that might be more willing to forgive sort of the places where he's departed from Trump and the Republican Party. But the results we're getting so far from Boone County, you see it right here. That's a big chunk of the vote that's now in Boone County, and next door from Kenton County, where we got about a quarter of the vote. Those are not the numbers that Massey wants to see right there. We also did get a little bit more vote in. Now, this is a smaller part of the district right here, but in Spencer County, again, this is a part of the district we said demographically would be more pro-Trump. It's delivering for Galloway. That's not a surprise there, but that's the mix in this district. You've got some metro areas around Louisville and around Cincinnati, and you've got plenty of rural pro-Trump areas too. Those rural areas that we've seen so far are delivering for Galloway, but he is also getting the numbers so far that he wants to see out of the metro areas. I should add, we got a little bit in here from Oldham County, very little, but this is just outside Louisville. And again, this is the wealthiest county in Kentucky. Very small amount, but keep an eye on that. So overall, if you're Galloway, a 14-point advantage now with about 13% of the vote in.
So if you are Thomas Massey, what counties are you looking for right now as you hope you can potentially hold on to this?
Yeah, it would be, I showed you Oldham County with only 2%. This has got to turn around for him. This has got to flip for him. He's got to win Oldham County, and he's probably got to win it by a big margin. Right next door here in Shelby County, where Shelbyville, Kentucky is, again, this is a pretty big piece of the pie here. Probably 10% of the vote's going to come out of here. Again, this is outside of Louisville here, some bedroom communities. It would have to be here. He'd want, based on what we've seen in Boone and based on what we're seeing in Kenton, I don't know what the expectations currently are in Campbell County, but he would want something out of Campbell County. Really what he needs is, we say that split between the early vote and the election day. He somehow, I think, needs these numbers to turn around here as more and more of that election day vote is counted. That would be counter to what we've seen in these other Republican primaries, but he probably needs something like that to happen.
All right, Steve Kornacki, stay close. We'll be back to you soon.
Because we also want to know what's going on with Georgia. Polls are closed there. Aaron Gilchrist is joining us now from a polling site in Jackson. You got some interesting races on both sides of the aisle here, Republican and Democratic. Talk me through what you're hearing from voters as you're talking with them. I don't know if there's anybody still in line. They're probably on their way heading home at this point, huh?
You know what? We actually do have several people that are still inside this precinct here. This is the largest precinct here in Butts County, Georgia. We saw a line start building in the 6 o'clock hour, and suddenly it was stretching all the way the length of the administration building here. As we look inside the doors right now, the sheriff's office, they're only letting people leave at this point. We've had a few people walk up, and the deputy said no, polls are closed. They're only letting people who are already in line finish up their voting here. I can tell you that here in Georgia, we've been able to find out about 2 incidents where we know know the polls are going to be open late. In Cobb County, which is north of Atlanta, we know that there were some equipment issues at a couple of precincts there, and so they're going to be closing at different times through this hour. The last one closing at 8 o'clock. There's also one polling place in Fulton County, in Sandy Spring, Georgia, again, kind of north of the city of Atlanta, where there was police activity earlier that shut down a polling location. So that site will stay open until a little after 11 o'clock tonight, although we do still expect data to be rolling in. And I can tell you, as we've talked to voters here, a lot of folks who've been at this location walking into those doors, they have encountered these uber long ballots, Democrat, Republican, Independent, 3 ballots available for people here in Georgia. And depending on where you are in the state, if you're voting in the Republican primary, there were 30 races in some cases for folks to look at. Obviously, that big Senate race that we've been talking about, the governor's race, lieutenant governor, and then other races throughout for state offices, county offices, some questions on the ballot as well. And so a lot for people to sort of take in here. And as we've been looking at the Senate race in particular, we know that there are 3 candidates who are sort of rising to the top right now. 2 current members of Congress, Mike Collins, Buddy Carter, and then this person who is a well-known name, Dooley, Derek Dooley here in Georgia, of football, high school, college football fame. He's got the endorsement of Brian Kemp in this state, and those 3 men are really the ones who have been battling it out for the Republican nomination to face Jon Ossoff in November, and they have really made clear that each of them wants to be the one to face Ossoff. They haven't been talking about each other very much through the campaign season, but really talking about going up against Jon Ossoff in November. We do expect that we're going to see a runoff in that particular race. We expect you could also see that in the Republican governor's race as well, where there's been a ton of money spent in this state. Every other commercial on TV here in the Atlanta area has been about one of the gubernatorial candidates here. And so as the polls close and data starts to come in, we know that 1 million people in Georgia voted early across the different ballots that are available here. 1 million people voted early. That was record-breaking for a primary election where turnout tends to be a bit lower. And so we'll see if that is a tell about anything in terms of who ends up being the person to get most of the votes in all of these different races here, with a lot of folks focused on those gubernatorial elections as well. Yeah. Kristen and Hallie, we know that you've got a Trump-endorsed candidate in that race.
All right, real quick, I wanted to check in on the the Massey camp. They don't look happy at all. Look at these guys. Let me mute this real quick. They got music going. Are you really going to pretend you're going to be celebrating tonight? You're down by like 10 points, guys. You're down by like 10 points. You're done. You're done. Look at all these Democrats hanging out with Thomas Massey. Anywho, back to these guys. What are they talking about?
Whopping 250 votes in, right? So just I don't want people to like it is early days for these races. We're waiting on a lot of numbers coming in too.
We sure are, but Aaron, one of the things that Hallie and I have been talking about throughout the night, quite frankly, when we talk about Georgia, the fact that you cannot talk about Georgia, you cannot think about some of these candidates without thinking about the 2020 election. That's right. And the tension that President Trump has with some of the Republican candidates who are running tonight. Brad Raffensperger at the top of that list.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. When you look at the governor's race on the Republican side, you've got Brad Raffensperger, who really hasn't talked a whole lot about President Trump and the controversy that existed in 2021 as he's been out on the campaign trail. His ads don't really reference it either. And I can tell you, when we talk to some of the candidates in the Senate race, too, people are not quick to reference President Trump. But when asked about that, you hear folks who say, you know what, I'm the MAGA candidate. We heard that from Buddy Carter. We heard it from Mike Collins. You hear it from Burt Jones on the gubernatorial race because he does have the Trump endorsement in that race. But for the most part...
All right, let's do this real quick. Let's give John King a try from CNN. I don't know. People said, man, they mentioned other networks like Newsmax is covering this. They suck at covering it. I've seen them. They're terrible. They don't have the infrastructure, you know what I mean? Where it's like it brings all the numbers in and it aggregates it for the people to talk about or whatever. And NBC they had this guy, you know, that nerdy guy Kernachky, who's talking all the numbers. He's usually pretty good, and he's still pretty good. The problem is they for whatever reason moved him into the same room as the chicken heads, and so now when the chicken heads are on, he can't talk. You know, so both feeds coming out of NBC is essentially just the chicken heads talking. Like, why even have two feeds? You know,
you got to get over 50%,
so
or else it's a runoff. Right?
There's John King, the original touchboard guy. Remember back in, was it 2008 or whatever, when they first introduced the touchboard? Yeah, that guy. This guy,
feuds, if you will. Trump endorsed in the Texas race today. He endorsed Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, over Senator John Cornyn. But Republicans are still spending money to fight Republicans. The Indiana state legislative races I talked about a while ago, millions, tens of millions of dollars put in for Republicans to fight Republicans. The Thomas Massie primary, let's go back to Kentucky and to the House Republican primary there. This primary here in Kentucky's 4th Congressional District, up to 14% now. More than $30 million. I think it's around $33, $34 million right now. The most expensive House primary in history.
Wow.
Republican on Republican. So you have this one here will be over tonight, we presume.
Hi,
but then you have all these runoffs where, again, Republicans have a huge fundraising advantage still, but a lot of money now. A lot of Republicans are a bit nervous about this. A lot of Republicans going into Republican on Republican races right now, where in those places, you know who the Democratic candidate is in Georgia Senate, it's Ossoff. You know who the Democratic candidate for Texas Senate is, it's Tallarico. And the Republicans are still fighting it out. So Democrats think, at a minimum, it doesn't hurt them, and maybe it helps them a little bit. Not only they're spending all that money, but they're creating wounds in the Republican Party. So it's pretty simple. You want it over, right? If you're in a 7-game series, if you're potentially a 7-game series against somebody in the playoffs, you'd rather sweep them in 4 so you can rest, save your resources. It's the same thing in politics. You'd rather be able to clear it up, get your candidate, move on to the fall. That way, if that candidate has some patches you got to heal, if you will, wounds you got to fix, weaknesses you got to address, you have more time to do it. All right, let's go
By the way, that number he's got is out of date. That's a CNN number. Decision Desk HQ is showing Gallagher only up by 9.5 points. But it's 27% counted. So that number you're looking at, that's 15 some odd percent from Sean King or whatever his name is. Sean King, whatever his name. That's when it was 16% counted. Did you see that? Yeah.
First county where Massie has the lead. Just barely, 51 to 49 if you do the rounding. But you're looking at the color shadings, right? They're both red, but the lighter red is Massie, the incumbent. The darker red is Ed Gallerin. He is the challenger right now. This is the first county, and this is where Massie lives. We're here in Lewis County. So you would assume he's been in Congress now for a decade, a little more than a decade, almost 14 years. So he's well known across the district, of course, but this is territory. This is Lewis, and this is Mason right next to it. But again, just barely, right? Just barely is not going to be enough in these smaller rural counties if the challenger is winning by quite a bit in these more populous suburban counties. In the Cincinnati area, again, that's 15 points. That's not healthy. It's at 36%. If at home you're thinking, well, when do you think it's going to stick? I tend to be conservative because we've had the 2000 election, we've had 2016. I lived through the Perot election back in 1992. Hanging Chads in 2000 and all of that. So I tend to be conservative. Why not do the math? Why try to get out ahead of yourself? But sometimes your eyes don't lie and you just see the dynamic that's happening. And the question, as you look through these, so we have the one, this is one of the things that gives you pause. Okay, he's winning that one county. Are we going to have a trade-off? We're going to have a chess game? Or do they all come in the same color? These are the things you watch as you go through an election night. I'm going to pop out for a little bit. They're going to yell at me if TV wants me or whisper to me. They're polite. I just want to see just a few other things we have down here as we go through this. This, to me, is one of the biggest things we have in the campaign, in the issues. Now, the Democrats are not going to come up. We're in the state of Kentucky, so I'm going to come out and I'll come to nationally. This is the biggest issue in the campaign. You hear people talking all the time about affordability, right? And so in the United States, the cost of living has increased faster than wages by 1.75 times. You're all living this, whether you're a Democrat or independent. Your costs are outpacing your wages. Now, there's some counties in America where that's not true. If you live in one of those, you're lucky. And this is before the Iran war. This is why this is the biggest issue in the campaign, that the people's costs for their energy, their housing costs, their food costs, their medical costs are outpacing what they're getting paid, which is why this is the biggest issue in the campaign right now. I'm just showing you that just to show you some of the things we can do with the magic wall as we go through it. One of the things we can do, let me take this off for a second and close out this map and come to a national map for you just for a second. Take this off, get rid of today, You want to know, where's the largest pockets of the Latino population in the United States. You use the tools of the magic wall. This is called the demographic layer. The deeper the shading, the higher the percentage of Latinos.
The racist map. Look at that.
In here and do the affordability gap I was just talking about. This is that same. I showed you the 1.75 number. This is what it looks like. The darker the brown, the more you're getting punched in the affordability crisis, meaning your costs are outpacing your wages significantly. You see the scale down there. If you're lucky and you're in one of these green counties here, that means that you're at least breaking even. Maybe your wages are growing a little bit faster than your costs. But you can see the green is few and far between. And again, this data predates the Iran war. And a lot of these green counties, this is just guessing, but I've been in a lot of these places, you're driving more. If you live in rural America, and if you drive more, it's pretty obvious you spend a lot more money on gas. So I just want to show you some of the fun things we can do in the magic wall as we go through things. And now let's come back to where we are at the moment. There's the Senate races, House Republicans. Let's just come into tonight so we can just watch tonight. Back to Kentucky. %. Now you're starting to get nervous if you're in the Massey campaign headquarters because you're up to 20%.
I've got 29%, asshole. Look at this map right here on Decision Desk HQ. 29% counted. 29% counted. Gallerin is up by 10.4 points. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with CNN. Holy crap. They've, they're gone to shit without that USAID funding, huh?
Magic. Right, it's not really magic, but we think like if it was really magic, the martini dispenser or a beer tap should come out of it. Doesn't work that way, and it would be dangerous on long election nights anyway, so we don't do it. We're up to 20% right now, and you see more of the counties filling in, right, as you get through it. And again, the challenger's color is in all of those counties. That's not necessarily decisive. I told you the first night I used this was the New Hampshire primary in 2008. There were some broadcast networks that called New Hampshire for Barack Obama. Hillary Clinton ended up coming back and winning. The power of this to be able to show where the votes were missing and where where we were still waiting for votes. It was mostly Manchester, New Hampshire that night, and we knew that Hillary Clinton was strong there. And the ability to use this as a tool to say, should we be leaning forward and being aggressive in our calls, or should we be leaning back and being a little more cautious? This is amazing. It's just an amazing resource because of the power of the data in it and because of the brilliance of the team that adds tools to it so that we can figure things out. But let's go through these counties as we go. Pendleton County, again, the challenger's getting, that's 95% of the estimated vote in. The challenger's getting 58% if you round that up. Mr. Gallerin, let's move over here to Bracken County. He's getting 57%, only 20% there. This, at the moment, Mason County is the only county in the district where Congressman Massey has a lead. They're up to 95%. Again, that's 51-49, so it's not a giant lead. And then you come out here. You just started, it's the consistency that tells you the congressman is in trouble. We need to keep counting votes to see if it ends up that way. The consistency of the counts as you go across. Again, this is his home county. Problem for Massey is even if he wins his home county, that would be important for him, symbolic for him. Trump got 87% here in 2024, but it's not a lot of people live here. Not a ton of people live here to counterbalance this. We have all three counties in the Cincinnati suburbs right now. This is the biggest math in the district, right? No voter is more important than any other voter. No county is more important than any other county in terms of, in a democratic way. But in terms of the math, where do the most people live? That's right here in these three counties, right across the top of the district. And so you're looking at 55% if you round up to 43, 54%, 57%. So a little higher in Boone County, which is a little bit more rural as you move out here. Suburbs are here, and it gets more rural as you go out here. But that's a consistency that thrills you if you're in the Gallerin campaign, and it makes you a little worried if you're in the Massey campaign. But we're at 21% of the vote in, so we're going to wait and see how this plays out. Just want to check in down here. Spencer County again, up to 49%. Move up through the district this way. Come over. You see the black line? That delineates the district. So that's another district over to the left there, to the west. Oldham County, 55. So you're seeing a relatively consistent number in the northern counties anyway. They get a little higher for Mr. Gallagher when you get out into the more rural counties. Again, about half of the vote, a little shy of half of the vote counted there. So 21%. Not time to cash it in just yet. I'm going to sneak over. Stay with me. One of the things you have to do on election nights is drink water, but would you like to see your heat off now? One of the most powerful things you have to do on election night, no product placement, so I'm going to cover this, but is to have a little caffeine. I'm an espresso guy, but tonight it's warm in here, so we're going to have a little iced coffee. Some people worry that it's warm and I'm sweating in here. Nothing I can do about it, right? And so they want me to do this because apparently it's unsightly. But there's nothing you can do about it. I will tell you this a personal story. For those of you who don't know it, I have multiple sclerosis. The most difficult thing for somebody with MS is heat. Everybody has different issues with MS, heat. So I usually have them pumping these things freezing. I didn't think about that tonight, and maybe they'll listen to me and turn down the temperature.
That's hilarious. Betty says mass holes have got to be nervous. As in massy holes. Mass holes. That's hilarious. Love it. Thank you, dear. Thanks for chiming in.
Just the way it goes. It's a little personal quirk, if you will. I'm not going to worry too much about it, but my amazing team.
So here are updates on the numbers here on the decision desk. 33% counted. Gallerin is up of 10.5 points. It looks like it's been staying at about 10.5 all night. So it looks like that's going to be it. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes.
We're looking here. I wish I could interact with you guys watching because I'm just rambling and going through all these places. But let me just show you one of the things I was talking about a little bit earlier. At the moment,
we don't have anything, any updates on that sheriff's race yet, Kerry. So just a heads up.
The Democrats need only 3 House seats to get the majority. The average in a midterm election is 25 seats. And so I'm not telling anyone to gamble. It's a safe bet that the Democrats take back the House. Republicans are going through all this redistricting stuff, so it's possible, let's say Republicans are successful, they're redrawing lines in Alabama, redrawing lines in Louisiana, they redrew a district in Tennessee, they're going to look at this in South Carolina. The Florida plan, I think, is done. I might be wrong about that. But let's just say that Republicans, before the Virginia State Supreme Court threw out the Democratic plan, and before the Voting Rights Act decision by the Supreme Court that has those southern states going back, even now, 5 months to Election Day, and redrawing maps, my take was that all the redistricting, you saw Texas, then California on the Democratic side, a Utah court ruling, Missouri moved, Ohio moved, North Carolina moved, all of those were sort of moving the margins, right, a little bit, but the Democrats were still going to take the House. It was almost a wash. +1 or +2 for Republicans or Democrats, depending on how you looked at it and how it plays out. When you take Virginia off the map, and now you see these other things happening, it's possible, in a best-case scenario for Republicans, that they kind of net 10 seats. Some people think 12. Let's just say 10 on redistricting. So the Democrats need 3 on paper. That's the size of the House majority today. They need 3. So if you then add 10, so then Democrats might need 13, right? If you redraw the districts where the Republicans are going to pick up 10 seats through the lines, through the remapping, through the redistricting. The Democrats might need 13. Again, I said the average is 25. So still well within the realm of probability, some people would even say likelihood, that the Democrats get those seats. But it does make the math more dicey. It does make things more interesting. It means if the Democrats have a bad year, a bad midterm year, and only win, say, 12 seats instead of the average, which is 25, if you win 12, you could be right there on that line. So this is why these primaries tonight matter. Every primary matters, because did you nominate the right candidate? Did you nominate a candidate who can win in the fall? And this, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which we will get later today, to me is really fascinating because from here, this is Bucks County, from here to here, from the southernmost point of Bucks County to the northernmost point of Wayne County, it's about 105 miles. It's a drive through suburbs here. Take this out. Take this out. Into Bucks County. The Philadelphia suburbs here, right? Then you're moving up. I said Allie was here. I call her Allentown Allie because she's from Allentown, Pennsylvania. This is manufacturing America, gritty, blue-collar America, union America. At the moment, somewhat struggling America. And then you move up here to the 8th District, Scranton, all the way up here to the end. These 3 districts right now are represented by Republicans. These 2 were represented by Democrats until the last election, so the Democrats think they can flip them back, right? With Trump's numbers being so low, if you nominate a good candidate, there's a first-term Republican incumbents there. This one down in Bucks County, Brian Fitzpatrick is the Republican incumbent. This will be a tougher race for Democrats because he's an incumbent, because he's a moderate Republican. But the Democrats, again, think, given Trump's unpopularity and given the governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro, is on the
let's go back over to NBC. Holy shit, dude. I like John King, but come on. Where's the energy here? Here he is. Here's Kornatsky. Here we go.
Deliver.
And Ed Gowron seems to be outperforming almost in all of the districts you're seeing so far, with the exception of the small district you just
mentioned. And the question mark here in Oldham County, just because, Massey did a little bit better with that update. But again, Massey needs to be winning there, not coming close.
Well, we have you all night. And if people are wondering what's that big stick, that's the Kornacki cam. That's his GoPro right there, which is very exciting as we're showing you as all this is happening. Can you also walk us through what we're seeing in Georgia, Steve? Just help us set the table, because we're about 25 minutes from polls closing in Pennsylvania. We'll talk about Alabama at some point.
Let's just rewind so we can watch this coverage of the Massey district here, because I want to hear about that. By the way, updated numbers that I have here: 39.5% counted. Gowron is up 11%, 11.1%.
Really appreciate that.
So his lead is widening.
Steve Kornacki is there.
Just a little bit.
I'm not trying to be a creeper, but I do watch you, okay? And I'm just saying in my head, vote. What do we got?
More.
What's coming in?
It's
What's
coming.
happening?
And here we are. We're up to a quarter of the vote now in Kentucky. 4 here. What we just got, a big one here. We said that third county right outside Cincinnati, where Massey, the pressure really is on Massey to start producing some numbers here. We're getting the early vote from there. And you can see, again, it's a continuation of this trend. Gowron leading by 9 points in that early vote here. And again, remember, right next door in Kenton, this is where the night started. Gowron leading there. And in Boone, the biggest in the district, Gowron leading by 15 points there. Also significantly, we just got some more vote here out of Oldham County. Remember what we said about Oldham here? This is the wealthiest county in Kentucky. This has a lot of those voters, professional class, college-educated voters, suburbs of Louisville. And you can see here the update. If you remember earlier, it was a wider margin with the initial vote out of here. So what's come in since? Massey's done better here. Massey needs to be winning Oldham County. If he's going to have a chance tonight, he needs to win Oldham. He needs to win next door here in Shelby County, and he's got to come up with a win, up here. He's got to win the election day vote up here in the Cincinnati suburbs, because elsewhere, what we've seen come in, we've seen some new votes come in. These are small rural counties here. But again, everything is kind of going, these small rural counties, you think of them as pro-Trump, and they've been delivering for Trump's candidates tonight. The one exception right here, and this is a very small county, but Mason County, it appears that Massey's won by a little bit less than 2 points. One thing to keep in mind is geography. A factor here. Before he was a congressman, Massey was a county elected official right here in Lewis County. Right next door in small Mason County, he ekes out a victory there tonight. I think we just got some vote here, too, in Harrison County. So, it's starting to come. But as you can see here, it's still a 12-point advantage for Gowron. We've not seen Massey deliver in a place tonight yet where he really needs to deliver.
And Ed Gowron seems to be outperforming almost in all of the districts you're seeing so far, with the exception of the small district you just mentioned.
And the question mark here in Oldham County, just because, Massey did a little bit better with that update. But again, Massey needs to be winning there, not coming close.
Well, we have you all night. And if people are wondering what's that big stick, that's the Kornacki cam. That's his GoPro right there, which is very exciting as we're showing you as all this is happening. Can you also walk us through what we're seeing in Georgia, Steve? Just help us set the table, because we're about 25 minutes from polls closing in Pennsylvania. We'll talk about Alabama at some point. We've got plenty of time for that. But fill us in on what you're seeing so far.
Yeah, so again, we'll start on the Senate side, because we've got a close race on the governor's side. We'll show you, too. But on the Republican side here in the Senate race, 7% of the vote statewide. You can see, though, it is a scattering from across the state. And Congressman Mike Collins right now clearly leading the initial vote count. Buddy Carter right now in second over Derek Dooley. But remember, this portion of the state down here, you see that maroon color, that's Carter's number. This is his congressional district here. So right now that's delivering some, it's delivering a bit of a punch for him right there. But again, if you take a look here in the Atlanta metro area, we really don't have much in yet. We do, though, have some in Cherokee County. I was expecting this to be a little bit more. Cherokee is one of the biggest Republican plurality producing counties in the United States of America. We only have 2% of the vote in there right now. Cherokee will loom large, though, when we get more vote right there. So if Dooley were to be getting 33% when we get all of Cherokee, that's going to be a big thing for him. But that's a big if right now. Flip over to the governor's side on the Republican side right here. And what do you see? You see Rick Jackson to get only 2%. Excuse me, that's in Cherokee County. 7% statewide here. And you see Burt Jones, the Trump-backed lieutenant governor, with a narrow advantage over Rick Jackson. What you also see is a gigantic gap there back to third place where the Secretary of State, Brad Raffensperger, is. Remembering here that this is a 50% state.
Right.
Nobody gets
runoff. Yeah.
They go to the runoff here. I think one thing that's interesting that we've been seeing in the results here. What did we just get?
What's up?
Oh, and we just got, I just was told we just got more Boone. This is the story of the moment. So we just got more Boone County, and I wanted to show you what we got. Okay, look at this. We're nearly complete in Boone County here in Kentucky 4. This just came in a gigantic batch of vote here. And Ed Gallrein, now a 10-point advantage with just about all the vote counted in Boone County. You can see how that just jumped up. It almost doubled the amount of vote that's counted in this district. And Gallrein, with that in right now, still with a 10-point advantage district-wide. That's very significant, what just happened there in Boone County.
I'm so curious. We've got Julie Sirkin at Massey Campaign Headquarters. We're going to get a vibe check, I think, in a couple of minutes. Steve, I know that you're going to be watching that coming in. I should also note that as we speak right now, President Trump is speaking. He's at a separate event. He's not talking politics yet, but you're taking a live look now. Here's
that's enough of these chicken heads. Okay, so updates here. Their numbers, that what we were just watching was about 2 minutes behind. We're now, we're looking at, here we go. We're looking at, what is this? Why is that so far behind? Anyways, here we are. 49.77% counted, so pretty much 50% counted. And Gallrein is now only up by about 9.5%. So, Massey is closing the gap, but I don't think he's going to be able to pass him with the other half. I don't know, because you know what? His own county right here, it's... Oh, what the heck? There is numbers reported. What is that? So, in Massey's home county, okay, they're talking about it again. In Massey's home county, he's got 2/3 of the vote, but it's already 76% in. So, here we go.
I believe it racist to equate being the
what is this black lady complaining about now?
The House of Representatives. I've served with him on judiciary.
They're asking her about comment. Oh, there's Kevin McCarthy. Look at that. The legendary rhino himself. Let's hear from these guys. Let's see how sad he is. So let me rewind it just a smidgen. This is going to be good. Kevin McCarthy, the shortest, the speaker, the House Speaker with the shortest tenure ever.
So closely, and to unpack this even.
Kevin McCarthy's in the House, guys, on the Democrat publication, on the Democrat side. This is NBC. This is not Fox. They got Kevin McCarthy here. Wait, Kevin McCarthy used to date Marjorie Taylor Greene? Wow, she bangs everyone. She's so gross.
Al Demings and former Speaker of the House and Republican leader Kevin McCarthy. Thanks so much to both of you for being here on a really significant night. Speaker McCarthy, I have to start with you because of what we are talking about. President Trump looming so large over what we are seeing. Your reaction so far to the lead that Ed Gallrein has opened up. Again, no calls have been made, but he's clearly so far showing signs of strength.
That's a very big lead, especially against the incumbent.
Yeah.
More money spent in this one. And I will tell you, President...
A quick pause, because Naomi says, well, I guess this channel's been receiving their $7,000. Have you ever considered that I just don't like Muslims? Huh? It's funny, like everyone who disagrees with you, you call them Jewish. I'm first of all not Jewish, I'm Chinese. Secondly, I was critical of Israel for 3 years. 3 years. And you know what they never did? They never banned me from anywhere. But you know what happened? I was supportive of the operation in Iran. And you know what the Iranians did? You know what the Islamists did? You know what the liberals in Europe did? They got me banned from Twitter twice. So now I wholeheartedly support Zionism. Okay? I hope they destroy the rest of the world. Yeah. We're going to make the world a Judeo-Christian Zionism world. That's it. We're done. We're done. Well, I'm done with all this other multipolar governance world order bullshit, okay? We're done with China. We're done with Russia. We're done with Iran. We're done with all that shit. We're going to take everyone's shit. Everyone's going to pay taxes. Everyone's going to pay interest, okay? That's the new rule. Everyone obeys the central banking cartel. Done. Okay? Done. I'm done with it. All right? How is that? How is it? You guys keep saying the Jews are the problems. Meanwhile, I shat on them for 3 years and they never banned me once. Oh, I should also add, by the way, half of them, the conservative ones, continue to support me. Yeah. Half of the conservative side of Zionism support me. And in fact, it was only the liberal side of Zionism that screwed me over. The Mexican side. Yeah, the Mexican side. The Mexican side. They were the ones that screwed me over. Yeah. Have you ever considered that I just want us to obliterate? By the way, if you don't even know anything about my life, Naomi Verez. Oh, you're a beaner. Got it. That's why you hate Jews. Okay, well, do you know anything about my history? Yeah, I went to school for 20 years. I got a master's degree. I had a 10-year career in corporate America, and I had my career sabotaged for being a Trump supporter. Okay, so instead of working quietly and being apolitical in the office space in my quiet cubicle, earning money and spending my money on car parts, okay, I now have to grind rent money on YouTube. And guess what I'm doing? I'm opposing everyone who fucked me over. Yeah, because guess what? Here's another thing. Even though I shat on Israel and Zionism for 3 years, I got no support from that side of the aisle at all. Name one other creator other than Mersh who ever even acknowledged me. None. Do you know why? Because the anti-Zionism movement is driven by China. And because I'm also opposed to China and the CCP, I'm also not welcome in that camp. Okay, so now I'm back in this camp. Yeah. You see how that works? And let me tell you something, Zionists, as long as you keep the right person in the White House, I will support this. I will support it. But you get a guy like Biden and try to destroy America, I'm out. Okay, I live here. This is the only home I have. I have nowhere else to go. Okay? Yeah. And to think in 2019, I just wanted to leave the country and move on and start a new life in Poland and let you guys do your little war here. No, what did you guys do? You had people in Poland fuck me over there as well. You had the chance to kill me and you didn't, and now I'm back on this side on the government watch list. They watch everything that happens to me. I give them great advice on what to do. The $995 a day fine for illegal immigrants to overstay their deportation order. That was my idea. The 500,000 ballots that were double printed in Maryland. I brought that to Trump's attention, right? How many other things? Oh, and by the way, saying no to power plant and bridge state, that was my idea. Yeah, I wanted to make sure the Iranian rebels had food and water and power to fight the IRGC. And I made sure that didn't happen. Guess what? I was screaming. I was like, hey, don't do power plant bridge day. Those are our boys in the cities. They're on our side, right? They like us right now. So that does not make life miserable for them. And guess what happened? Power plant and bridge day did not happen. Because guess what? I'm still, regardless of whether you allow me to have a career or not, I am still brilliant, okay? I see things from all angles. I can connect dots. I know what the hell I'm talking about. And I'm genuine. I genuinely fight for people who are always good to me. And guess what that is? Generally Christian, white, conservative Trump supporters. That's a demographic that's always good to me. See? Even when I was shitting on Zionism day in and day out, okay? I never got banned. They continue to support me, and I'm still alive today. Because of them. Thank you. Thanks to them. But no thanks to the anti-Semites that got me banned from Twitter. No thanks to them. Huh? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Oh, hi, Kathy. Good to see you, dear. We're busy yelling at this anti-Semite here who's calling me a Jew because I refuse to denounce the war in Iran. Have you ever considered that I don't like Islamists either? They burn our churches. Why would I not want Trump to destroy Iran? And let me tell you another thing, Mr. Varez, let me tell you another thing, okay? Of all demographics in my life that were often the worst to me, it was the Asians. Yeah, and that's also why I don't care if we go to war with China. Yeah. It'll be great to see, Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, and the United States all invading China. I'm 100% Chinese and I support that. Yeah. Figure that out. Oh, yeah. See, all you got to do is treat me like shit. And consistently. See, when there's a consistent demographic of people who treat me like shit, being mostly the Asians and the Mexicans, I will basically support anything against them. Do you understand how that works? Yeah? Did you know, by the way, Varez, did you know that in 2021 and 2022, my life was surrounded by this group of Mexicans who pretended to be my friends, okay? And the only reason why I turned against Israel and Zionism and Jews was specifically because they were supportive of those demographics, but they were Mexicans, okay? But they were trying to fuck me over. They fucked me over in every way possible. They tried to get me to consume things that were bad for me. You know what they try to tell me? They tried to tell me, that cut on your finger, you have to reopen it every day and clean it out daily. Yeah, they try to get me to do that. Yeah. They try to get me to eat dark chocolate regularly, alleging that it's good for me, knowing that it was very high levels of lead. This is what Mexicans do. And that's what you are. You're a beaner. You understand? That's why we all hate you guys. That's why you're all getting deported, mass deported, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. We're all laughing about it. We hope they start throwing you off of buildings. We hate you guys. We hate all you guys. I hope Trump starts carpet bombing Latin America. You don't deserve a home. None of you. Yeah. Yeah, the only ones who deserve a home are the light-skinned ones who live here and you're compliant with the Constitution, you're Christian, and you're law-abiding person. That's who we want here, okay? We don't want any of that spick shit, okay? Namal Varez. Fuck you, man. Fucking idiot. I guess you got your $7,000. Do you think I will be streaming 7 days a week if I got $7,000 a month? Okay, do you know why I have to stream every day? Okay, because I make barely anything. Okay, doing this. Okay, I can make more doing DoorDash actually. But this here that I do here is a complete opposition to you and your side of the aisle. Okay, what I want is genocide for the rest of the world. That's what I want. I want, the Ebola that's going around Africa, I want that to spread all over Africa. I hope Bill Gates is responsible for that because I know he's going to do a good job with that. He did a great job with COVID, right? Yeah, got to give him that. Hopefully he's back on our side. Hopefully he's not trying to destroy Western society anymore. And hopefully he's just going to try to cleanse Africa of all the apes. That way the Chinese can come and take it over and do something productive with that land. Yeah, yeah. This is how things. By the way, hey, Varez, have you noticed that Trump gets along so well with Xi Jinping and Putin, but he's shitting on all the Latin American presidents? That's what I love. That's what I love. Yeah. Did you notice that he brings in the South African president and calls him a racist and a genocidal maniac? And look at all these whites you're killing. Calls them out to his face to the international audience. Did you notice he doesn't do that to any Asian presidents? Huh? Did you notice he gets along with Japan? He gets along with South Korea. He gets along with China. Do you see a correlation there? Okay. Let me tell you something, Namal Varez. We have learned a lot. Okay, we have learned a lot. Okay, if those of you who were here since 2020, remember. Okay, I used to be more unified. I used to always try to push unity. Oh yeah, everyone just get along in the country and come together and we'll agree on something and we could be together. And the moment you stole that election in 2020, that was when I realized that there can be no unity with you. You have to be eliminated, all of you. Okay. All of you who hate America, you need to be deported. Gonna send you back to China, gonna send you back to Japan, Korea, wherever you came from, Mexico, send you right back. Okay? That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna grow all the food. We're gonna make sure all your food don't grow. We're gonna grow all the food and you have to buy from us. You're gonna do hard labor. You're gonna make our Nikes for free. You're gonna make all our textiles for free. You're gonna harvest lumber for free. We're talking about Canada there. Okay, and we're gonna exchange lumber for food. All your food's gonna suck because we're gonna poison it. Okay, genocide to the rest of the world is what we're doing. Yeah. I don't need $7,000 to want to do that. I don't need $7,000 a month. Yeah. Have you? But by the way, you and your dumb people who keep fucking me over in other ways, right? You realize that if I would have just, I don't know, been prosperous doing something else, like, I don't know, crypto, that I would be off the air by now. Have you considered that? But no, every day, no matter what I swap into in crypto, you guys crash. So guess what I do? I stream every day. Yeah. And every day I stream. And guess what? You know what's the best part of us streaming weekends? No one else is streaming. So all the people who would normally be watching other people's stuff who are a little bit more, I don't know, neutral about things like, oh yeah, we want things to be better, but we're not interested in doing genocide to the rest of the world. People who normally watch channels like that get to watch me on the weekend, and I advocate for pandemics in Africa. I love it. I love the Ebola going on out there. It's great. It's going no malvarez. Yeah. What a dumb person. Thank you very much, Tijuana, for $5. Thank you for that. Thank you very much, Alfredo Ponte, for $2. Thank you very much. She says, thanks for the show, spring. Thank you all for being here. Yeah. You see, all you dumb fucks could have just left me alone and everything would have been fine. But no, you wanted your power. And by the way, thank you for 3 more coffees, Mo P. Thank you for that. She says, Frank, we love you. We're family. Thank you very much. You are family to me. I don't talk to my family anymore. My Chinese family is god awful and probably mostly Democrats anyways. They probably all got Trump derangement syndrome. Can you imagine? Oh, look at that. So they've called it. They call it for Galloway, guys. Look at that. Look at this good stuff. Neocons. That's what we're doing, guys. It's official. Decision Desk HQ has officially called it for Galloway. It is 73% counted, and Galloway is up by 8 points, 7.5 points. Good stuff. Let's see if these guys are talking about it. Oh, no, hold on. Let's turn that off. Hold on. Are these guys covering it? Let's see. Anyways, yeah, if I didn't have to stream weekends, all these people who look for news on the weekends, they wouldn't be watching me advocate for global genocide. They'll be watching more responsible people like maybe Benny. He's pretty responsible. He's pretty cordial. No, they get to watch me on Saturdays and Sundays advocating for pandemics in Africa. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. It's too much carbon anyways, right? The weather's changing and shit. Yeah.
A lot of independent voters. This is really the battleground for...
Okay, so at this point, they already called it. Let's rewind a little bit. Let's see their reaction. When they just found out that their little Democrat Trojan horse, Thomas Massie, lost. We don't need to hear from Kevin McCarthy. That's fine. Where are we at? There it is.
You guys here because
we do it after the runoff, in the runoff, not in the primary.
Let me interrupt you guys here because we've got some other things to hit, and I want to go to Steve. Oh, we actually have an NBC News projection here. This is a big deal. This is the race we have been watching. The projected winner, NBC News can project it as Ed Galloway winning the Kentucky's 4th district. You see the numbers here right now, 54% with 60% of the vote in across that state. Gang, listen, from the jump, since we came on the air, Steve Kornacki, you were looking at these numbers, you were looking at where Galloway was performing in some of these key areas in the district, and it was already from the jump looking like an uphill battle for Thomas Massie.
Yeah, and it was. And actually, it was about 5 minutes ago. We got it in the same county where we started the night, Kenton County. Most of the rest of the vote coming in there. Again, one of those big suburban Cincinnati counties here. And the only chance Massie had since we kind of came on the air was if the election day vote, the folks who went out to the polls today and voted, if they voted in a very different way than the folks who had voted early. And this just made clear when we got that final update here from Kenton County. And we've seen similar things next door in Campbell County. And we've seen it in Boone County to the west. It made clear that was not the case. Galloway is in position right now. As you can see, all 3 of these Cincinnati metro counties, he may end up winning tonight, and if he loses them, he's only going to lose them narrowly. Half the vote comes out of here. For that matter, you look here in Oldham County. Again, we showed you this earlier. This is a place where Massie needs to be winning big. You go into the smaller rural counties of this district here, where this is where you find probably demographically the most Trump loyalist. Again, Galloway was largely getting the numbers he needed. Again, the one exception, the only place here you see that Massie shade of red. This is Massie's home county. He previously served in county government here before before going to Congress. And then right next door, small rural county, Mason County right there. Only bright spots of the night for Massey, and they aren't even that bright. At least Mason isn't that bright. So, yes, Gowrine wins this thing, and really from the word go. And the notion had been, I think, that the Massey folks were hoping, again, that those Cincinnati suburbs that birthed Rand Paul's political career, libertarian kind of infused politics there, that they'd be more forgiving. But from the first result we saw tonight, as you said, Hallie, they weren't.
President Trump getting exactly the result that he wanted in Kentucky for, Kristen.
Yeah, 2 in about a 4-day span. So that is significant. Let's go out to Julie Sirkin, who is at the headquarters of Thomas Massey. He was trying to hold on to his seat, trying to seek an 8th term, Julie, hoping incumbency would be the key to holding on, but it wasn't enough against a Trump-backed candidate in Ed Gowrine.
It wasn't enough, Kristen, and I just talked to somebody very close to the president for his reaction tonight. I asked him, what would Gowrine's victory mean tonight for the president's track record? And they told me it means the president keeps his commitment. So this is definitely a race, as we've been talking about, that pretty much comes up on top of all the other races. The president watching it so closely, posting on his Truth Social, posting on X, trying to get people motivated to go out to the polls to defeat Massey. I remember when I was here in March for an event that the president held in Kentucky, and he introduced Gowrine to voters. He was a political unknown, and the president said, I asked for a warm body. Give me a warm body that could beat Massey. And it appears tonight, as I'm standing in a sea of Massey supporters, some of them a little bit disappointed, coming in where they were getting an open bar, free food, trying to enjoy some semblance of their night, now paying attention to the screens posted up around this room, essentially showing Massey underwater here. And certainly they are not going to be happy. But already we are seeing calls for Massey to stay in the fight, maybe run for president, to stay relevant somehow. Because as Steve has been saying, this is not your traditional Republican area. There are a lot of libertarians here, a lot of independent voters. This is really the battleground for old MAGA versus new MAGA. You saw Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert aligning with Thomas Massey. You see the president take actions that many voters that I talked to say they didn't vote for that, like the war in Iran, for example, adding to the deficit. These are all things that they found unacceptable, and yet you have a result like tonight, the president appearing to put his thumb on the scale and victorious at that.
We are waiting to see, Julie Sirkin, thank you, where you are. Congressman Massey set to speak. We're going to bring that to you live when that happens.
Oh, he's going to speak. That's great. Thank you very much, Sir Furberger, for the 50. Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you for being here, and thank you for your contribution. Hello, Fred. Good to see you. We will start movie night once things kind of die down here. Once we're done watching Massey cry. Oh, and by the way, Alfredo Ponte's birthday is in 3 days, so please say happy birthday to Alfredo. Alfredo Ponte's birthday is in 3 days. Anyways, this scooches forward. Good stuff. Good stuff. Afuera.
President's side. We are waiting for Massey to speak any moment now. We'll bring that to you, of course, as you take a look at the balance of power in the House there with a ton of battleground House races. We're watching him.
Yeah, so we'll watch him speak. And then I will keep an eye on that sheriff's race for you, Carrie. I don't see any numbers yet. I think, well, the polls is close, so never mind.
You're like, all right,
I'll keep you updated.
It sets up the stakes for everything that we're talking about tonight.
Yes,
it sets up the stakes for control of Congress come November. That's what this is all about. You've got some races, especially in Pennsylvania. You look at Pennsylvania 7. We're going to get into that in a second. Obviously, no voting in PA yet, with the polls having closed 90 seconds ago. But you look at that. That's a place you've got a sitting Republican who Democrats think is vulnerable. You've got Josh Shapiro throwing his weight around. You got a lot of action in that state. And can we just acknowledge it's like 8 Eastern, and we've already got the marquee race of the night, and there's still more to go.
There's a lot more to go.
Yeah, no, I think Pennsylvania is kind of part and parcel to the Democrats' plan to win back the majority. There are a lot of seats there that Democrats think that they have an opportunity in. The Brian Fitzpatrick seat in particular is a seat that has voted.
Bucks County, let's do it.
Right, that's voted for a Democrat in the last couple election cycles. Fitzpatrick has built a name for himself as somebody that's kind of separate from the party. But Democrats believe that this is their opportunity to take him out, and that would be a big part of their plan.
They believe that every single term. And
well, they are swing
the Democrats
overwhelmingly
win that district. But Brian Fitzpatrick is probably one of the very best members. He's in his district.
No doubt.
He walks door to door. He knows his district well. Former FBI agent. I mean, this is a very, very good.
He knows his district well. But he does. He has made a name for himself. In President Trump's environment, we just saw it happen in Kentucky. Is that a good thing? Right. I do think. And look, I worked with Brian.
Yes, it is. It's very good. We got the Democrat out of a Republican seat.
There are at least 4 opportunities in Pennsylvania. The Democrats' ability to take, look, I think the Democrats will take back the House, certainly with the president's help. But I think it goes straight through Pennsylvania. And with
that's hilarious. Farrah Jude says 13 years and he got wrecked. He got wrecked by an unknown, by the way, someone with no experience in politics. And he also says, "I bet Hobart is shitting bricks." That is hilarious. I've never heard that before. Hobart, Lauren Hobart.
You got, I think it's 7, 8, 10 are the battlegrounds that we're looking at. I think I would propose that the most interesting one tonight is probably the Lehigh Valley on the Democratic side, and see what's happening there against Congressman McKenzie there. You look at Bucks County, that's a place where you've got a pretty diverse socioeconomic spread from upper Bucks to lower Bucks. You've got, to your point, Congressman Fitzpatrick. People have said before that they'd like to take him down.
This is a different environment, though.
Yeah.
This is a different environment that we're operating under.
You know what I would...
Here's what I like about Pennsylvania for this midterm cycle.
The people who come from?
That's first and foremost. Let's not get carried away. Maybe like a close second to the people who come from there is I do think it's a pretty pure test case for Democrats. This is a state that hasn't been redistricted. The maps are the maps. You've got candidates who've been running successfully, like Brian Fitzpatrick, for a long time. And Democrats are going to see exactly how far this anti-Trump sentiment can take them. Do they need more than that? Is that sufficient? Can the president not being on the ballot be enough? I mean, Pennsylvania is, I think, to me, the best place to test that. With a popular Democratic governor, by the way.
I was just going to say, you've got a popular Democratic governor who is on the ballot, and that might help.
And very actively involved in these campaigns, these congressional campaigns.
Well, and by the way, and we don't know if he wants
Devin Fund says, Devin Fund asks, I thought Trump is endorsing Boebert. He still currently is. It's not that bad. She's gonna be fine. All I got, Josh. They just called it for Josh Shapiro, by the way. That's not surprising. So what happened was Boebert went to Kentucky to campaign for Massey. That's what happened, and so Trump basically said, "Does anybody want to primary Boebert? I'll rescind my endorsement for her and endorse you instead." But no one's gonna jump in against her. So it's already too late. I think the primary's in like a month. And there's not that much bad blood. She even responded to him, but she responded in a way where, well, we're just going to disagree. That's it. So there's not a lot of beef between him and Boebert. He's still going to endorse her, obviously, because anything's better than a Democrat. But that's what happened, basically. She went to Kentucky to campaign for Massey against Trump's guy. And that looks really bad, right? Plus, as I recall, Lauren Boebert did not vote to vacate Kevin McCarthy. Yeah, only 7 Republicans did, and she was not one of them. It's Matt Gaetz and 6 others. So things kind of shuffled just a little bit. She's still okay. But she's on thin ice. She's on the can we find something better, please list. You know what I mean? She's on that list right now. That's where we're at. I do not think the Democrats are going to take the House. There's no way. There's a mess besides. Well, you heard what the guy said earlier, that John King guy. He said that generally in the midterms, the seats flip, about 25 seats flip. We have been able to so far redistrict 19 to 20. So that means, and then we're only up at 3 seats. So if we're losing 25 seats, and then we redistrict 19 of them or 20 of them. Instead of say we redistrict 20 of them, we gain 20 from redistricting. We have 3, and then we lose the 25. That means we're down 2 seats. So that's the challenge there. So it's going to be a real tight midterm. It's going to be a very exciting midterm. Yeah. You know what? By the way, that Ebola is getting bad. Here's some bad news about Ebola. There is an American doctor who was working in the DRC. He's tested positive. He has since been moved to somewhere in Europe, and he's going to be readmitted into the States through something in San Francisco. I think. No, I'm sorry. He's staying in Europe. The thing that I was concerned about is the World Cup that's starting next month. The team from the DRC is allowed to come to America and play. Yeah, so that's going to be fun. screening for Ebola in this country. Yeah. Diane says, I mean, the good thing though is that when you get Ebola, you're dead in 72 hours. So I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's not likely that they're gonna catch it, fly, and then like infect everyone in town. That's not likely. It's not like COVID that had like a 21-day incubation period. Incubation period for Ebola is like 36 hours. In 36 hours, you're throwing up blood. It's that bad. 80% mortality rate. Yeah. Diane says these primaries are to see which candidates will be on the ballot in November, or the actual seat. It's see how there's a lot of red and a lot of blue. It's the primaries, right? So in the primaries, the Republicans run against Republicans, Democrats run against Democrats, and the winner gets to be on the candidate, right? But Kentucky is such a red state that it's not likely that seat's going to go blue. It's not going to go to the Democrat. So the guy that just beat Massey will probably win, unless of course all the Massey people go and turn Democrat, which is a possibility, by the way. Yeah. Hello, Carlito. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Carlito, sorry for all the Mexican comments earlier. I'm really not racist. I love Marie Chavez. I really do. She's the greatest thing in my life. Thank you, by the way. Thank you, Carlito's Way. Just new sub. Glad I joined. Keep up. I love your content. Well, I apologize for the Mexican comments earlier. I don't mean all of you. I just mean like a lot of you. Like half of you. Let's see. What are we looking at? Boebert is a disgrace. That backstage video of her practically humping Kid Rock's leg. Oh, really? See, it's stuff like that I don't really care about. By the way, I don't know if you heard, but earlier, sometime last week, there was a scandal about Massey, and it was like sex related, and I'm just like, I don't care. You know, I don't know. I'm not that conservative. I vote Republican. I wish the world were more conservative. I wish I were more conservative. But I'm not. Like, things like that don't bother me. Like, she's grinding on Kid Rock. Like, yeah, she's a tramp. She's Florida trash, by the way. If you guys didn't know, she's from Florida. Yeah, that's why she's trashy. She's not a Coloradian at all. Yeah. Kathy says, glad to have you, Carlito. We're a little saucy around. You guys, it gets pretty bad sometimes. But I'm not actually racist. I like blacks and Mexicans more than Asians, actually. You know, I'm just defensive for my whiteys because everyone attacks them. Devin says, is Trump endorsing Victor Marx? I don't know who that is. Let's go look that up. Let's see. Trump endorsements. Let's look that up. You said Colorado governor, you said? Colorado. Those are House seats. Boebert. House seats, where are the statewide ones? I guess not. Hold on. Governor. Colorado, where's Colorado? Governor of Colorado. Who'd you say it was? Victor Marx? I don't see it here. The last endorsement he made in Colorado for governor was Walker Stapleton, and he lost. But again, Colorado is a very heavily cheated state, so that's a long ways. You know what I mean? Let's see where we're at. Oops, top loaded. Is Trump I read that one. Can we demand he is in quarantine if he gets here? Oh, that one doctor. I mean, I guess you could make a fuss about it. I'm sure they would. I mean, Ebola is awful, man. It's the worst thing on earth. Yeah. Carrie says, for sports, that's dumb. I forgot what we're talking about. Sorry. Hello, Carlito. Good to see you. World Cup Ebola. Oh yeah, you mean for sports, the Ebola, the DRC. Yeah, they're gonna be allowed here. They're still allowed to play. It's already been announced. So. And what a pandemic you could have. Imagine that. Just ahead of the midterms. Yeah. Ebola's so fast, you guys have no idea. It's fast. World Cup Ebola, right? Someone had asked when one would start their job, and I thought it was going to be a while, just a primary, not the final vote. So the vote for the actual federal congressional seats is always in November. Half the time is on election years when the president's there, it's at the same time. Like a president will run, and then there's a bunch of seats up for grabs, and then every 2 years is always so House seats are 2-year terms, so they have to run every 2 years. Senate seats are every 6 years, so basically a third of the Senate, those seats are up for grab every 2 years. So that's why you always see Senate races every 2 years, even though it's a 6-year term. So a third, 33, 33, 34, every, and then every once in a while you get one that's off. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the governor's races. Never mind. New Jersey and Virginia have governor's races. They have state elections on odd years, the year after a presidential election. So, what is this? Oh, no, we don't need to see that. Where are we at? Hello, Patriot 626. Hello. Oh, where are we at? Damn it, it just top-loaded me. Hello, Patriot 66. We just got done celebrating Thomas Massey's retirement. Joe, they're still waiting for Thomas Massey to speak, by the way. Don't worry, we haven't missed that yet, I don't think. I want to see what he has to say. Oh, the tyranny! Yeah. You know where Thomas Massey lost me? Thomas Massey, he voted against the spending. I was like, okay, that's understandable, right? But he did it again and again, and I'm like, dude, come on, we gotta get things done. We gotta get things done. Because we only got 4 years. We can't just have a stalemate in everything we want to do, right? And then suddenly he brought forward Epstein's, I call them showgirls. They are not victims. Virginia Giuffre was a victim, but these other girls, they're all showgirls. They loved it. They made big bucks. Thomas Massey and MTG got together with Gloria Allred, the Hillary Clinton lawyer. Thomas Massey and MTG got together with Gloria Allred, pranced around those Epstein victims to trash Trump with them. Anyways, here we go.
Democrats coming in. And under normal times, maybe that's the way you do it.
That's where Thomas Massey lost me.
Congresswoman, thank you. We're going to dip in here and listen to Congressman Massey deliver what we expect to be a concession speech here.
Ha! Nothing works for you, is it?
I did get the call through, though. I have called and conceded the race. We've been honorable the whole time, and we're going to stay that way. Welcome to the most expensive congressional primary ever in the 250-year history of this country. It's not just the most expensive. This thing went on longer than Vietnam. It started 9 months ago, and they didn't even have a candidate, and they decided they want to take me out. I want to start by thanking the volunteers who have put so much effort into this. Some of you came from all across the country. Some of you are homegrown. Well, I love all of you. I see how this is going to work. I'm going to have to not quit talking or you'll start doing it. I want to thank my staff, too. Some of my staff have been with me from the very first race in 2012, and they have done so much. We've never had, contrary to all the BS you've heard, we've never had a single ethics complaint filed against me or my staff in 14 years. I want to thank the donors. Now listen, I'd name them all, but there's 50,000 donors, okay? We didn't lose this race because we didn't have enough money. It is the most expensive race ever. I think when they add it up, right now they can count 35 million. I think when they add it up, it's going to be a lot more than that, because on our side, we know we spent more than 15 million. And we were able to go toe-to-toe. There was never a week that we got outspent more than 2-1 in this entire race once it got underway. And that's also, it wasn't just the grassroots donors. We had a long time, one of my longest friends, he went through a rough spell, and I never left him. I always supported him. And he actually started the super PAC, the one that nobody knows who runs it, Cliff Maloney. If you're around, would you come up here? Maybe I can get him out here to take some credit. Or if he's in the crowd, just pick him up and surf him over here. Cliff. I see, by the way, I see one of my online influencer heroes, Bobby Sauce, over here. There were a lot of surreal moments in this race, and frankly, in being in Congress. But being in a side-by-side racing through the woods with Bobby Sauce was definitely on my, it wasn't even on my bucket list. It was amazing. So, and getting to that point, I want to thank the influencers who came all this way and produced all the videos and got out the young vote. I want to thank my family. That's who we have arrayed back here, my grandbabies, all three of them. She's clapping, too. It's a little bit overwhelming for them, but they are what recharges my batteries when I come back from Washington, D.C., these grandbabies. And that's what we're fighting for, really, is the next generation and the next generation after that. But I have to especially thank my wife, Carolyn. Her parents knew what they were doing when they named her. Her middle name is Grace. And but she's a fighter. I mean, she's been tweeted at twice by the chief executive of the most powerful country in the world. She blames me for that because I didn't invite him to the wedding. But,
Congressman Massey
also,
there.
She voted this morning, and she came
with
out,
a
she said,
pointed dig, of course, at President Trump, who's been hoping, as Garrett Haake put it, demanding that Thomas Massey lose this race in Kentucky's 4th District. You heard the congressman there talking about the concession call that he made to his opponent, Ed Galrine, projected to be the winner in that district. And interestingly, just a couple
Should I switch to Massey's speech? Yeah, let's do that. I don't want to hear these chicken heads. We're done with them. I mean, we waited for Massey's speech, and here they are. Just talking over it. Great. Okay, well, we'll just leave your whole stream then. Give me a second. Where's the live? All right.
Which showed the same thing. There were a lot of surreal moments in this race, and frankly, in being in Congress. But being in a side-by-side racing through the woods with Bobby Sauce was definitely on my, it wasn't even on my bucket list. It was amazing. So, and getting to that point, I want to thank the influencers who came all this way and produced all the videos and got out the young vote. I want to thank my family. That's who we have arrayed back here, my grandbabies, all three of them. She's clapping, too. It's a little bit overwhelming for them, but they are what recharges my batteries when I come back from Washington, D.C., these grandbabies.
Real quick, thank you very much, Sean Joe, for the donation. Thank you, Forrest Friend, for the donation. Thank you. Hello, Justin. Thank you for that donation. And thank you, Curious Cat, for the donation. Thank you. Thank you, everyone over on Fox. So you guys are the best. Here we go.
And that's what we're fighting for, really, is the next generation and the next generation after that. But I have to especially thank my wife, Carolyn. Her parents knew what they were doing when they named her. Her middle name is Grace. And but she's a fighter. I mean, she's been tweeted at twice by the chief executive of the most powerful country in the world. She blames me for that because I didn't invite him to the wedding. But also, she voted this morning, and she came out and she said, well, that was a wild experience. That was great. I never imagined that would happen. And I said, what happened? She said, I got to vote for my husband and my favorite congressman. I said, that's practically a throuple. Oh. In all seriousness, walking out here and seeing all of you has really energized me, and it has all along. But why am I hopeful right now? Because if you looked at the crosstab in the polling, and I'm sure if we had exit polling, it would show the same thing. We have the younger demographic. You are patriots, and you will inherit this country, and you will make it better, and I am hopeful because of that. Thank you. We accidentally, I think, didn't mean to do this. It started out as an election, and it turned into a movement. I mean, I think people, if you're not tired of politics, if you're not jaded, if you're not cynical, and so many people are, the people that want somebody that'll go along to get along. I've never heard of that strategy, but that seems to be what the voters want. That's what's been promised to them, but not the young voters. I mean, we stirred up something. There is a yearning in this country for somebody who will vote for principles over party. You all don't like bullies, and you don't tolerate them, and I love you for it. You also, yeah. They couldn't, listen. Hey. If I'd known this speech was going to be this fun to give, I would have come out 15 minutes sooner. Look, for 14 years, those SOBs in Washington tried to buy my vote. They couldn't buy it.
The Democrats bought your vote, asshole.
Why did the race get so expensive? Because
by the way, if you guys missed my coverage of this, 79% of his donations, campaign contributions, come from Democrat PACs. He's even, you know who else contributes to him? Ilhan Omar, Cori Bush, Ro Khanna, Keith Ellison. Just a short list of people who donate to this guy.
They decided to buy the seat, and it got real expensive for him. Look, they used a lot of dirty tricks, but we stayed the course. We didn't bend a knee. We didn't throw a foul ball. We didn't do any of those things. We didn't kneecap anybody. We had lots of opportunities to try a lot of stuff like that, and we never did it. We ran a clean race. And there's, by the way, after 18 months of a blackout, of not letting me on Fox, they finally let me on Fox today, 4 hours into the election. Their slop is selling, so they'll keep selling it. But listen, I got to watch Fox also for the first time in 18 months. And there was the president talking about, by the way, while gas is almost $5 and diesel's almost $6, they're talking about this big ballroom they're going to build, and it looks like the Roman Empire, architecture from the Roman Empire. I see a few analogies there, and people are just trying to make ends meet. But we were promised that Miriam Adelson would pay for that ballroom, but she spent so much money in this race, they're going to have to reduce the footprint of that thing. But here's one thing I saw on Fox. They were saying, oh my goodness, we're ready for war. We're about to restart this war. We were supposed to restart this war today, but we can't restart this war today. The war can't start today. They said we got to wait a day. And then it occurred to me, where was the Secretary of War yesterday? He was here. Listen. Wait. No. Look on the bright side.
No more wars. 4 more wars. 4 more wars.
No more wars. No more wars. Guys, knock that off. You're going to make me feel good about losing. What I wanted to do was give you all credit. When they saw the influencers here, they panicked. They sent the Secretary of War here, and you stopped the war for a day. All right. We know we don't want a war, and we know why young people and middle-aged people are against the next war. Because we'd be the ones fighting it. They're trying to bring back the draft. Screw that. We're not going to fight. We're not going to fight some other country's wars, are we? No. What else do we stand for? We don't want to send our money overseas. Okay, I'll go for that. I've got a bill to do that. I've also got a bill to end the Department of Education.
Oh, yeah, Trump already did that, guy. Nice try, though.
Rand Paul says he wants to pass a law that you need one day to read 10 pages of every bill. I asked Rand, what are you going to do about my bill that's one sentence long to end the Department of Education? That'd be like 5 minutes to read that bill. By the way, do you know how many pages the Epstein Files Transparency Act was? 2 pages. We don't want...
Okay, but the Epstein Transparency Act released 3.3 million records, which you refuse to talk about still.
I never picked.
They're so hung up on the 13,000. They're so hung up on the original 13,000 that the SDNY cherry picked for Pam Bondi. They don't talk about the other 30.3 million that was released from the Epstein Transparency Act that was signed by Donald Trump, by the way. You see how much of a bunch of liars they are? Fucking awful people, man.
We don't want...
Oh, and by the way, never forget all the content creators who kept pushing that shit. Who kept saying, oh, Trump's covering up for pedos, even though Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Okay? Remember those guys. Remember CoffeeZilla. Remember Too Lazy to Try. Those guys are still calling Trump a pedo cover-up guy. Okay? They're still doing that. Don't forget who's bought and sold, who's sold out.
tired of meddling overseas. We can't afford it. Our empire will collapse if we keep sending our money to other countries. I never picked a fight with the country that's tried to take me out here because I've never voted for foreign aid to any country. We got to take care of America first. America first. America first. America first. America first. America first. By the way, you remember that organization that Klaus Schwab started called the World Economic Forum? They said you should eat bugs. Do you want to eat bugs? They said you'll own nothing and be happy about it. You want to do that? Well, guess what happened? Guess what happened to Klaus's CEO? He was in the Epstein files. He had to resign. We took out the CEO of the World Economic Forum with a 2-page bill.
That was signed by Donald Trump, guy. I don't think he fails to realize that he was one of 550 votes to get that bill to Donald Trump's desk. Donald Trump could have vetoed that bill himself and it would have been gone. Okay? He didn't. He signed it. Donald Trump was literally 50% of the reason why that bill passed. This guy was about 0.025% of the reason why that bill passed. Okay? Fucking idiot.
What else are we for?
What else should we take credit for?
For years, I've been standing up for the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 10th Amendment. I just realized the 7th Amendment is under attack. It's because I serve on the Judiciary Committee. The 7th Amendment is your right to a jury trial. They've taken it away for vaccines. If you get hurt, you can't sue for vaccines. They're trying to take it away for pesticides. They're trying to take it away for these data centers. No. We've been fighting that back. So that's an amendment that, frankly, I didn't think I was going to have to fight for, but I've been fighting for it in D.C., and we need to keep fighting for the 7th Amendment, too. These corporations want get-out-of-court free cards. We're not going to give them one. What else is part of our coalition? Cutting spending. They ran Doge out of town. Elon Musk found out it was easier to land a rocket backwards. It was easier to get a car to drive itself. It was easier to put internet on Antarctica than it was to cut $100 of spending in Washington, D.C. It's a tough problem, but we're not going to give up on that either. Maha. Is anybody here for Maha? Does anybody want to eat poison? No. Do you want the government telling you what to eat? No. Do you want the government telling you to put a needle in your arm? No. I don't either. And that's why I've been fighting all of that stuff. We need food freedom. We need medical freedom. We need all of those freedoms. And we need basic decency. We need basic decency. That's what the Epstein Files Transparency Act was all about. By the way, today is the 6-month anniversary of the Epstein Files Transparency Act. We've taken out 24 CEOs, an ambassador, a prince, a prime minister, a minister of culture. And that was just 6 months. I got 7 months left in Congress.
Oh, let me guess. You're going to be voting Democrat for the next 7 months? Fucking asshole.
When did bipartisanship become a dirty word in this country? It never should be. By the way, I'm not even sure that I'm bipartisan. Bi means you like both. I might be transpartisan because I can't identify with either some days. That's the great thing about the polls being closed. I can't run an ad where I claim to be trans. Transpartisan, thank you very much. I don't know which cloakroom to go in. So, but look, if you know, I bet you've been through, some of you studied political science. By the way, that's not a real science. I'm a political science denier. If you're already halfway through that degree, double major in theater and call it political theater. Then you could serve on the Oversight Committee, the Judiciary Committee. You can be on the whip team. What's the difference between a used car salesman and a member of the whip team? The used car salesman knows when he's lying. They go around telling everybody, oh, that good stuff's in the bill. Oh, that bad stuff's not in the bill. I don't blame them. They haven't read the bill. They're not lying. They don't know they're lying. Anyways, bipartisanship, we need to bring this country together. It is not, there's too much of the uniparty in Washington, D.C. What we need is a unity party. Look, we ran a race that you can be proud of. You have to apologize to nobody tomorrow for anything you did. And we kept smiling the whole time. When I was called a moron at the prayer breakfast, I said, I'm glad I'm in his prayers. That would be my advice to you all. Don't dig in. Don't get mad. Don't even try to get even. Just stay on your course. Get our stuff done. Get the things you care about done. We weren't really running against Ed Gowrine. We weren't running against Donald Trump. We were running for what we believe in. Listen, if you always vote with the president, if the legislative branch always votes with the president, we do have a king. If the legislative branch always votes whichever way the wind is blowing, then we have mob rule. But if the legislative branch and the representatives and the senators that serve with it always follow the Constitution, we have a republic. USA. Why are all the loud ones in the front? I could have heard you in the back. Listen, I want to leave you with this. Oh, wait. I want to have a toast. Does anybody have their glasses? If you don't, I saw a few glasses. Okay. This is the one scandal. This is the one scandal they never figured out on me. I get my milk from the Amish cartel. And I don't pay for it with Federal Reserve notes. I trade peaches for dairy. And what I want to do is this is a toast in honor of my late wife. I introduced a raw milk bill, and the milk lobby came after me viciously. They said there wouldn't be enough hospitals for all the kids that would be sick and dying if we had raw milk. But the problem with that is it's already legal in a bunch of states, and I've been drinking it for years. So my late wife's Google alerts were going off. She was getting all this bad press about me up there in Washington, D.C., and she was worried for me. And I've got a pretty thick skin, but she texted me one of those stories, and she said, OMG, I didn't realize the lactose lobby was so intolerant. So let's have a drink. I decided before today that we were going to win or lose today, and we would win either way, whether because not again. You know, when I try to tell my grandson to be quiet tonight, he is not going to listen. He'd probably be saying, Massey, Massey. Here's what I want to leave you with. We won. We won because we started a movement. We showed people that if you're under 50, you want to save this country. But what happened today was God's will. It couldn't happen if God didn't want it to. So our job, and I'm not going to make any announcements tonight. I'm going to go back, have me a medical margarita. I'll hang out and party with you all. You know I don't drink recreationally. I have medical margaritas. I even have a medical margarita card. But what happened today, what happened tonight was God's will. And we have to figure out what was the purpose of having the biggest fight ever. Biggest fight ever. Why did it converge on one of 435 congressional seats right here in Kentucky? What was God's purpose? What is he showing us tonight? We're just getting started. I like that. What happens in 2028? You want me to run for Congress again? I don't know what you're talking about. You've made a compelling argument. You spoke your piece, but I need a medical margarita right now. And we'll talk about it later. Thank you and God bless.
All right. Let's see. Don't mind me, I'm just having dinner. Let's head back over to should we do MSNBC? What do you guys think? I don't know. It's only 100 people. So it's only 100 some odd people left. Might just call it a night and go to movie night. I don't know. Let's see. Clay Fuller won. We'll hang out here for a bit. Let's see if there's anything interesting.
Some consider them to be racist. So Mike Collins has a lot of issues that I think Democrats are prepared to expose that the Republicans have been trying to expose over the course of this primary.
All right, let's, I think, go back to Steve Kornacki. I think we've got a little bit more of the vote count coming in Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania 7, what do you got?
Yeah, a little bit of an interesting development here. And again, remember, this is that 7th District Democratic primary. And the new piece of it is we got a big chunk of the vote here from Lehigh County. Remember, there's 2 big counties here, Northampton and Lehigh, that are going to make up like 90% of the vote tonight. And here you actually see Ryan Crosswell.
Yeah.
Remember, he's the former prosecutor, former Republican who got into this race, actually slightly, but leading the vote count there. So again, in Northampton, Crosswell got clobbered by Brooks. That puts him at a big deficit here. He does lead in that first quarter of the vote counted here, probably mail-in vote in Lehigh County. He would need to build on that lead to counter what happened here in Northampton, but it does show a difference, at least, in terms of these 2 counties and how they're voting here. And again, what that nets out to district-wide here is Brooks continues to lead big. Crosswell would need to pick it up even more with what's left in Lehigh, but he is at least showing more strength there than he did in Northampton.
All right, Steve Kornacki, thank you.
Interesting on this one. Let me just bring this up because Congresswoman Demings, this gets to something that you said sort of towards the top of the discussion here 14 hours ago when we began our special coverage. Ryan Crosswell, former Republican, former DOJ, resigned in protest of like the Eric Adams situation over there. And, we've had our teams out in the field talking with these candidates, and he is making a similar case about the rule of law, talking about sort of the constitutionality that is on the line here. A different argument than I think you're hearing from Bob Brooks, who's casting himself as kind of the fighter for the working class, somebody who in this economy can be the one to take on Congressman.
Yeah, and we've talked before about some Republicans who haven't quite changed their party, but they're certainly leaning more towards Democratic principles. The names Marjorie Taylor Greene, Candace Owens, Tucker Carlson. Democrats, look, if you need to switch parties, do that. But it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be embraced by the Democratic Party.
Do you think that type of argument, though, is effective in a general election and not a primary? Democratic voters.
It could be. But when you look at Brooks has all the juice behind him. He has the Governor Shapiro. I don't see him not advancing to the general election. And with that support, look, I do believe the governor has additional aspirations. He's going to make sure he does
out
everything.
on a limb on that one.
He's going to do everything that he can to make sure that his endorsed candidates win.
Let me bring in a couple of folks who've been listening into this conversation, also eager to get in on it. And by the way, Alan Smith, our reporter on the ground in that district in Pennsylvania just recently, Ashley Etienne, Matt Corman, who are joining us now. We see them there. Ashley, let me have you pick up on this thread that we're talking about here, this Democratic fight in this critical battleground district. We are going to be talking about the 7th District in Pennsylvania for the next 5 months of our lives. I mean, that's just the reality here. How do you see it?
Well, no, I think I agree with the Congresswoman. I mean, there's a lot at play here in this race. I think Shapiro's strong. Shapiro's going to ensure that his candidate crosses the finish line. But we've covered a lot of ground here since we've been off camera, and I'd love to go back if you would allow me to. What I'm seeing here,
floor is yours.
All of these races is the theme that I'm seeing is that this is the struggle for the heart and the soul of the Republican Party. There's been over $200 million spent from my home state of Texas to Georgia, what we just saw in Kentucky, to really solidify this party as the MAGA movement. For me, what happened with Massey was it's the final nail in the coffin of your father's Republican Party. Now we have a situation where there's going to be fewer Republicans in Congress that are going to serve as a check on this president. Speaker McCarthy was one of those who I used to admire when they were the young guns and they used to needle their party and holding them to Republican principles. That no longer exists. And so to have a healthy democracy, you have to have both ends pushing to the middle and moving the president to his higher angels. And when we don't have that, when you don't have a check on the president's authority, you see this $1 billion slush fund to folks who committed crimes against the Capitol and against police officers, wars that were entered into without congressional approval, $1 billion ballroom, tariff wars that have cost the American people millions and millions of dollars. I could go on and on. So for me, that's what this cycle is all about. It's the death of the old Republican Party and the beginning of the MAGA movement environment that will not hold this president accountable and will have longer range implications on the health and the state of American democracy.
Matt, weigh in on that point. Ashley says this is the final nail in the coffin of your father's Republican Party, and speaking about the Massey race. What do you make of that?
Well, Massey was elected in 2012. My father's not that young. No, look, again, I think Massey went about this in a very disingenuous way. And I think many in my party, getting a lot of texts, good riddance to Thomas Massey. I mean, look, you can't tout that you vote with the Trump administration 90% of the time and call them then also in the same breath, quote, the Epstein administration. I think I'm keeping track of the Yankees game right now. There's a statistic in baseball called, priorities, but called WAR, and it's wins above replacement. How are you as a player compared to the average replacement player, right? And so if you're representing a deep red district, right, like Kentucky, are you in step with your electorate? Or is a replacement level candidate or replacement level conservative more conservative than you? We were talking about Brian Fitzpatrick before, and I think, Speaker McCarthy is exactly right.
I think that's enough of this garbage. Holy crap. Oh, end of the world. Yeah, well, end of your world. End of that Democrat world. Well, is Freya still here? Hi, Freya. I think you're still here. I think it's time for movie night, guys. Yeah, by the way, Carrie, I still don't see, and not this Carrie, the other Carrie, cool Creations. Sorry. I was keeping an eye on the sheriff's race out in your county. Still nothing. Yeah, they are not trying there. Updates on the Massey race. Gallarain is up like, I don't know, 9 points or so, something like that. It's 86% counted. Georgia Supreme Court. I don't know who this is, but she's the incumbent. She's staying. Okay. I don't know if that's good or bad, but whatevers. Let's see. So we're done there. Anything here? Nope. That's about it. Yeah. I guess let's head on over to Foxhole. If you guys don't know what that is, I'm going to drop you a link right now. It is a very quaint platform in which we can get away with piracy. I'm kidding. I'm not, but I'm kidding. Anyways, we'll call this Foxhole. We'll just call it NPC Movie Night. Yeah? We're gonna watch Rudy. Rudy was purchased for us by Freya. Yeah, average American. She bought it for us, or rented it for us, I should say. And we're gonna go watch that right now, but I can't do that anywhere but Foxhole because of copyright policies. So we'll see you guys over there. Goodbye everyone but Foxhole. We'll see you tomorrow. Congratulations on the win. Goodbye YouTube. Goodbye everyone. Have a good night. And